He never plugs me in. He hates me.
Who?
Look at you, you're all cozy.
I like your top. Here, let me plug you in.
Does it know?
Yeah, come on.
Hello, am I audible? Tahira, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you as well.
Joshua, am I audible to you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, that's fine. Thank you.
Hi, John.
Good to hear. You don't look like you've been sick.
Oh, I look like I feel. But I take my medicine, so it should hold me over for a good 2 or 3 hours.
Good.
Very good. Thank you. I am going to call the Operations Committee meeting to order for November 11th, 2025. This evening, I note the presence of myself, Beth Brindle, and committee members Liz Muirhead, Holly Charest, and Shauna Maxwell. We do have a quorum, so we will move ahead with this meeting. And I note that only committee members can approve agenda items moving to the full board agenda. So next is the approval of the minutes from our October 14th Operations Committee meeting. Are there any questions or comments on the minutes? All right. If not, all in favor of approving the minutes, please say yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then tonight we do have two presentations on the agenda. The first one, I'm not sure if there's a presentation, but a Q&A session about ShotSpotter. And we have, I think, our district attorney and Coatesville City Chief of Police
Yes.
here.
So you're going to be coming in the mic, and I believe we have individuals on
That's not the one, right? You have to present this.
on Zoom.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go.
We're here on Teams.
Oh, I can hear him. There we go.
There we go.
On Zoom.
We can hear you, we can't see you.
Okay, well, thank you for extending the invitation to come out tonight and speak and also answer questions that anybody might have. Just by way of background, I'm Chief Jack Lawfer, City of Coatesville Police Department. I've been a chief of police in the city of Coatesville since 2013, so I'm actually entering my 13th year with the city. So during those 13 years, it became very evident that Coatesville does have an issue with gun violence. And it's been a long road that I've been working with ShotSpotter or Sound Thinking, the parent company, in an attempt to bring the technology to the city of Coatesville, because I think it can really make a difference in our efforts to combat gun violence and to also provide better services to the citizens of Coatesville. And so finally, with a willing partner and our district attorney, Chris DiMarina-Serena, and our state rep, Dan Williams, between the three of us, we were able to put together the funding to bring ShotSpotter to the city of Coatesville. So we're excited about that. It's already beginning to pay dividends. We've been live now since September 25th. We have a little over 20 incidents of reported gunfire in the city. We've made 2 arrests, and we have rendered life-saving aid to 1 victim of gun violence on North 7th 2 weekends ago. Our officers responded. We're administering a tourniquet and first aid before the first 911 call ever was received. Because ShotSpotter makes a pledge that they will attempt to have every single notification in under 60 seconds from the first sound of gunfire to our smartphones and to our in-car computers. So tonight we do have 2 representatives from ShotSpotter on Zoom who will be willing to answer any technical questions that anybody might have. But our district attorney looked at what we were doing in the city of Coatesville, and he thought it would be a great opportunity to see if we could extend our coverage to include the main campus of the school district. So we worked with SoundSpotter. We were able to massage the boundaries of our coverage area to not include any additional cost to the city and no cost to the school district. So at the recommendation of Chris and working with our team at ShotSpotter, we did come up with a plan to extend that coverage to include the main campus, but it does include having to install additional microphones on the campus property. So that's where we are tonight. We are currently live in the city of Coatesville. We have been since September 25th. We've seen great results, and we're here tonight to present this opportunity to the school district. I'll let our district attorney take it from here.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what Jack says. I had a lot of experience with this technology as a federal prosecutor in Wilmington, Delaware. Right, Wilmington has a severe gun violence problem. Thankfully, Coatesville is not nearly at the level of Wilmington. But what we have seen across the country is a trend where people who are involved with guns and who are shooting guns are younger and younger, are very often juveniles. And so when the school bus was struck, I think a little over a year ago now, right? That's when Jack and I turned to each other and we're just like, well, why can't we cover the high school? Why can't we make sure the parking lot is covered? Why can't we make sure that our children are safe? And I'm really thankful for our partnership and for ShotSpotter to be able to massage those lines. And so this would be the last step today, right? To ask you folks to authorize to hang 6 microphones. I think it's roughly 6, but as many as really we need to get coverage in the area so that we can better protect children. And that's what I'm all about here today. I have used this technology to prosecute people, to gather thoughtful evidence to make sure that, and I really think about this, like we have a big debate in our country, I realize, about policing. This is technology that gets police to the right place. It gets police to danger. And no matter what the debate is and what we all feel about what the best tactics are to keep ourselves safe, everyone should be able to agree on 2 things: that we want our children to be safe, and that when there's gunfire, we want police to respond to make sure everybody is safe. And so that's why we're here today. I can answer whatever questions you folks would like about my perspective on working with it for over 7 years in Wilmington. And I'll certainly tell you, as someone who in the last month has had to go to a mass shooting scene at a school, I really hope that this board approves this, because I think this can be useful in helping be a deterrent, helping us respond if the unthinkable happens, because the unthinkable has happened in Chester County in the last month. Thank you.
Chris and Chief, thank you for the brief overview. Can you just introduce the 2 guests on the screen so we're aware of who they are and their involvement in regards to ShotSpotter as well?
Sure. We have Joshua Judah and Tariah Moore, both from ShotSpotter. I think to the extent sometimes there are some technical questions, right, that we want to make sure you have all the state-of-the-art information. They're here to also answer questions that everybody has to make sure everyone is comfortable with what we're doing.
Thank you. Do we want to open it up for questions then? Okay. So I don't know if any committee members have questions. I have a couple, but if anybody else wants to start, okay. So thank you all for being here, and those of you on Zoom as well, or on Teams as well. I think, so I have a student in the high school. My youngest son is still, he's a junior. So obviously the safety of the students in that school, I think, is the biggest concern for all of us. I will say that initially in hearing about it, I also had concerns about sort of the surveillance state and putting microphones up. But I think as I've learned more about it, I do think there are more of the details about how it works made me a little more comfortable with it. So I wonder if maybe the folks from ShotSpotter could from the company would talk just really briefly, I think just a quick minute overview of what the technology is, what it's recording, how much. I think it was like a second on just how that works so the community has a chance to hear what we've heard.
Hi,
Josh, I think that'd be good for you to handle.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Good evening, everyone. I'm Josh Judah. I'm the Customer Success Director from Sound Thinking, assigned to Coatesville. So I'm working with the Chief and District Attorney on getting this thing going. I am former law enforcement. I used and brought ShotSpotter to my city of Louisville, Kentucky several years ago.
Josh, can you hold up for a second? We're going to see Mr. Oliver, Ms. Mullet. Can you come up and just see if we can get that straightened out before he goes on so we can have clarity?
It could also be the microphone on his end.
Right.
We're getting some static when you speak.
Is it any better if I lean in?
Ms. Moore, would you mind just saying hello to everybody so we can hear you? Maybe we'll know if it's the mic or not.
Hello, everyone.
It's us.
Josh, you can kind of tell me if I'm wrong, but and please step in, because we can make out a lot, but I think this is what the nuts and bolts of how the technology works, right? Is gunshots, when you chart their sound, make a fairly unique sound. And so what ends up happening is there are microphones at the highest point of various parts of cities across this country, and Coatesville is now the latest recipient of this. And because the speed of sound is constant, right? If you hear if these microphones pick up a gunshot, they can triangulate pretty much down to the meter where that gunfire is coming from. When those microphones activate, they pick up, they start recording essentially the second before the gunshot, and I believe 1 to 2 seconds after the gunshots start ending. They are sent to a live human who's working 24/7 around the clock, someone from Sound Thinking or from ShotSpotter who checks to make sure, like, is it fireworks? Is it a car backfiring? And quickly, within like a 45-second period, typically works through at a really high rate of accuracy to confirm gunfires happening and then put the location out into the application directly to officers in the area, right? And so that recording is then preserved for prosecution. The locations are really helpful from a prosecution standpoint at times, as you can see, if it's a drive-by shooting, the gunshots going down the street, right? Because the sounds are hitting the microphones at different time periods. If you have one person shoot and another person shoot back, you can tell which direction shot first. That's how good the technology is. But we're really only talking about sounds, which are like that, and maybe sometimes it does pick up sometimes, like if it was a big bang, we were worried about a big bang at the steel mill or something like that, right? Those really large sounds are what activate the microphone. They pick up during the gunfire, and then they end when the gunfire ends.
Thank you.
You want to see, Josh, if the audio improved at all?
Sure. How's it going?
A little better.
Josh, did I get it right at least?
You got it right. We listen for loud bangs, booms, and pops. Did that come through?
Yep.
Yep. Thank you.
What we don't do is listen for voices, as Chris said, we will record what happens during that small interval of that incident, but nothing before it and nothing after it. And now I'm coughing.
And then I think if I remember too, that audio, if there are, like any recording, if there are no shots detected on it, like it's not like that audio is held forever, it's deleted every 30 seconds.
No, and ShotSpotter is very proprietary. Like, we don't get to dive into it. Police body-worn cameras kind of work the same way. They're always operating in the background, but when they're activated, they stop recording. But none of that data is anything that we touch. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that if we tried to get it from ShotSpotter, they would terminate our contract with us, because that's what the contract calls for, and we would be in a lawsuit.
Okay.
Yeah, we retain audio on the sensors for about 24 hours, and then it rewrites itself. And we do that for all the reasons that you're concerned about for privacy. We don't want to be in the business of being in surveillance, frankly. We don't consider what we do surveillance. What we do is listen for gunfire in places where it should not be, and nothing else. As a consequence of that, we hear a lot of loud noises that are not gunfire, but we're not alerting the police to those.
Thank you. Other questions from committee members or the rest of the board?
I just wanted to make a comment. I live in the city of Coatesville. I'm in Valley Township now, but I lived in the city, right in the city. So we hear a lot of gunfire. And sometimes we don't get that information to what happened, and, we just get on the phone, where was it? I would love to see this, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but see this here at our school. When the incident happened at Lincoln University, I immediately thought to myself, EMS would have been responded quicker. The police would have been there quicker. And also, we have 2 HBCUs. I think Cheney is is it Delaware and Chester?
Yeah, we share Delaware and Chester County.
Right.
Like a third of it is in Chester County.
Okay, my grandson goes to Cheney, and EMS getting there, if something, and quickly, is a problem. We've had, I think there's, in the last beginning of the year, 3 students who have died at Cheney because EMS had not got there. May not have been for gunshots, but still, the response time. So, and in a time when there are mass shootings in schools, not just around here in Chester County, I guess my thought was, why wouldn't we want that extra protection net for our community? And definitely Coatesville. I know the young people in Coatesville, and the shooters are getting younger. And I'm not always thinking about the rest, but saving a young person is what comes to my mind. How do we save young people?
Thank you. One other just question I have is, my understanding is there would be no cost to the district now. It's covered by grants from the county and the state. How long do those grants, how far out is that kind of timeline? And are there grants that the district would need to apply for in the future, the county would, the city of the police department would? How does that look going forward just to pay for the?
I think we have pricing locked in for 3 years. We have paid for or commitments for 18 months. Our plan is not to ask for you to pay $1. I mean, if you get value out of it, then, and you have some money you'd love to contribute, great, we will take it. But our plan is to try to continue to use our funding sources right now as much as possible to fund this, because it's the school is a small portion of this overall plan, and we were moving forward with or without it. We just thought it would be good to tweak the map to capture it.
And the other side note is that we currently cover 3 campuses in Coatesville that are school district property. We cover Benner, Gordon, and Scott. Now, we didn't have to put any listening microphones on school property, but it's just the fact that they are contained in the envelope of the city proper. We're currently covering those 3 buildings for the school district with ShotSpotter.
Thank you.
I have one more question, too. How would our school police be trained to communicate with you?
They've already received the training. They have the technology on their smartphones. They will get the same alerts that we get and be able to respond in the same way we would respond.
Thank you. Liz?
And I apologize that some of these are things that I already know the answer to, but I just want to ask them in a public forum. One of the criticisms of ShotSpotter that I see online is that it can lead to potential over-policing when ShotSpotter is there, particularly if it detects something that ends up not being a gunshot. How would you respond to that criticism, and what do you think people should think about instead?
I think some of the data in those studies is a little bit flawed to start with, but without getting into that, what I would tell you is that we want police to be in areas of gunfire. We don't want police to be, right there, so we're going to capture data and be able to put police in an area that's statistically significant for gunfire across Coatesville now, right? So it actually is going to help us help Jack deploy resources on one hand, and two, just like any technology, right? Like, technology is only as good as the people that use it. And so that's why his force has been trained that just because you get a ShotSpotter alert doesn't mean that it can't be one of these other things that we talked about, like a car backfiring, right? And I expect, and I know he expects, his officers to use the technology responsibly. But we're also going to go, with some urgency to these scenes and make sure that people are safe. And so it's about this department getting into a rhythm about how to use this technology, just like any other policing technology that's out there. Jack?
And perhaps Josh could comment on the accuracy, but ShotSpotter uses the latest AI technology to pre-screen all these different sounds that are captured. So really, we only get the ones that are either confirmed as gunfire or probable gunfire. They have pretty much already screened out whether it's a backfire, fireworks, a dumpster lid slamming, a jake brake from a tractor trailer, decelerating at a traffic light, whatever that sound might be. AI has already screened it out, and then also the live person at the center has already pre-screened it. So we are getting, and maybe Josh could comment a little bit on that as far as the accuracy of that.
Yeah, they hit the nail on the head. We pride ourselves on accuracy. We put a tremendous amount of resources into sending the police to actual gunfire and not to fireworks, to backfires, things like that. Does it happen occasionally? Absolutely. And that's, to the point of training, of, starting off with a professional police force that, understands how to respond to things in a measured way. I'd also like to give the opportunity to Tahira to speak on this, because she brings a different perspective from not coming from law enforcement on the impact that ShotSpotter can have in communities that struggle with gun violence.
Yes, thank you, Josh. I'm going to speak from the heart because I don't know any other way to speak. I'm Tahira Moore. I'm the Director of Community Engagement at Sound Thinking. And I was working in the mayor's office in New York City. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, in the Mayor Bill de Blasio's administration as a senior advisor to criminal justice and public safety. And we deployed ShotSpotter in 2015. But my life before that is that I had 36 of my friends and family gunned down in the streets of Brooklyn, New York. Some of us were pulled in gangs. Some of us got caught in crossfire. And some of my friends' children even got gunned down. Was at school, at parks, somewhere at home. But this is 36 funerals. So I saw life without ShotSpotter in New York City. And I had wished we had had it when I had to hold my friend's hand and watch my friend bleed out. I wish we had had it when we were just 2 blocks away from my friend's daughter where she was shot and could not find her. I wish we had had it. Because in the world of technology, when the world of technology comes together with community-based organizations, with the hospitals, with the schools, with the public safety arm, you bring all of those worlds together. What you do is you create an ecosystem that then provides safety, that then provides a way to bring healing, that then provides a way to have a supported structure now in place in areas where we didn't have it before. And so technology is a partner. And so ShotSpotter coming in, being a partner and saying, this is where the gunshot has happened. This is where someone may have been hit. This is where services can be rendered quicker. I've seen a world when it wasn't, and I've seen a world where it was. And I'm thankful for the world where it was, where it is now, because now I see lives being saved. Now I see community-based organizations being able to use precision data to save lives. And that's why we get into this, that lives are being saved. That's why I stand. That lives are being saved. That's why I tell my story all over, so that lives could be saved. And I understand the concerns, and that's why we're here to address them. A piece of technology can't lead to over-policing. That piece of technology is saving lives. If you use the technology responsibly, like I've heard, if you use it with integrity, what you are going to get is improved safety in the community. I've seen it, and I know it to be so.
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just want to ask a quick question, and this is more towards the representatives. Your AI, does it get updated, and how often does it get updated to increase its reliability and also to prevent any kind of hacking of any kind?
It does get updated. that is sort of done on an as-needed basis. The roots of our technology are, they go back to how, to seismology and to earthquakes. So what we do in terms of how we can locate gunshot detection, think of it as sort of the same way that you locate the epicenter of an earthquake. That doesn't change. What changes is the nature of gunfire. What changes is the number of rounds on the street. You get clock switches, things like that. So we have multiple steps to improve the algorithm. And that's really what we have, is an algorithm that has been learning over time. It's fed new data. And then on the other side, there's ongoing training on our human personnel, who are the second part of this, because we don't want to just go off what the machine says. The humans filter out I'm trying to remember the amount, but a tremendous amount, more than 50% of the, what initially the machine says could be gunfire, after human review gets filtered out. And that's what gets sent to the police. And that is what, across our client base, we are somewhere in the 95 to 97% accuracy rate, because we have a two-part system. In terms of security, what I like to tell people is I work for a California software company. So they are, and I'm an old cop, so I don't want to get into the weeds of the security protocols that they have, but they are robust and ongoing. Just like what you would have at any other company that deploys software, we're aware of all the attacks, all of the threats out there, and have teams dedicated solely to preventing those types of things, preventing data breaches, all that. When you're dealing with technology, that is always an issue, and we're part of that. I hope that helps.
It does. Thank you, Mr. Moore. I appreciate your answer.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for being here. I don't know, I guess next steps from here would be.
So the next steps at this point would be that we would work with ShotSpotter, the DA's office, and Chief Loeffler to get an agreement together of what that would look like for the district and the partnership with ShotSpotter. And then we would bring that to our January committee meeting and then consider for approval at the end of January.
Okay.
All right? Thank you all. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, I'm going to invite, is Ms. Luciano here, I believe? There she is, to introduce our next presentation. Just turn your mic on, Lisa. There you go.
Sorry. Thank you to the board for allowing for this opportunity for FC Delco to come to present this opportunity for a partnership with the Coatesville Area School District. I'd like to introduce Rob Elliott and Pi Garcia from FC Delco, who's one of the premier youth soccer organizations in the Mid-Atlantic region. They're excited to present this proposal for a partnership with the Coatesville Area School District to enhance the athletic fields, specifically the fields, and expand access to soccer programming within the community. The proposal creates a mutual beneficial partnership between FC Delco and the Coatesville Area School District, establishing shared use and long-term benefits for student athletes and the community. Both organizations would work collaboratively to ensure decisions that are made in best interests of all parties. Through this collaboration, the Coatesville Area School District would gain access to upgraded, low-maintenance turf facilities that could be utilized year-round, expanding opportunities for both school and community use. It would align with the comprehensive plan to address our aging facilities and reduce the burden on our taxpayers. It could foster retaining student populations and attract families that are new to the area while providing additional revenue within the community and potentially to the school district. By working with FC Delco, the Coatesville Area School District can create a sustainable model that promotes athletic excellence, community pride, and facility modernization, helping to position Coatesville as a central location for regional sports and youth development. I'd like to introduce once again Rob Elliott and Pi Garcia from FC Delco.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone having the time tonight. I'm Rob Elliott. I'm the general manager of FC Delco. This is Pi Garcia is our director of operations. We have a couple board members here as well from our board. I'll try to keep this, brief and short, but basically we're a 501c3 nonprofit. Been around the soccer community here since 1982. Probably the most well-known soccer organization in the area, the greater Philadelphia area. We have been, for the last couple of years, looking for potential sites to, for the needs of our programming, right? So we've been looking around at different places. We got connected with the folks at the school and thought there could be a win-win solution here to fit their needs and fit our needs. So this is kind of the genesis of where we are tonight. So I just click this thing? All right, mission, we can read all this stuff about our club, but really what we're talking about is building several turf fields at the Coatesville High School, and to fit our needs as a club as we grow and keep growing, and also to accommodate and fit the needs of, the aging athletic facilities at the school. So we met several times with Lisa and her crew, and we're trying to figure out what their needs were, right? So it became apparent to us that baseball probably needed some renovation, and the softball team really needed some renovation to their facilities, right? So obviously that we're a soccer club that doesn't fit in our needs, but we said, okay, how can we try to figure out to accommodate as many kids and as many teams as we could that would fit onto the complex, that would be a shared facility between us and the school and the greater school district for certain programming and those things. So it's hard. Oh, I could see it here. So, part of this project, before we show you the field setup and everything, is sort of the connection to the community. JT Dorsey is a Coatesville alumni. And so is our board president, Brian Courtney, who couldn't be here tonight, is also a Coatesville alumni. JT runs a nonprofit for underserved communities in the region. We currently do a program in Coatesville jointly with the JT Dorsey Foundation. We do it just below the VA hospital at Callan Park. There's a facility that we maintain there. We run it there. In speaking with JT and everyone, we think that program could get much expanded, being at the high school and around where the kids are and people are, more so, right? Behind the VA hospital is pretty isolated back there. So, so from a community standpoint, we think there's this is a win-win for everyone involved. Here is sort of the proposal, right? So when we met, obviously for us, our needs are soccer fields, but we're trying to figure out ways, and this is, I would imagine, would change when you get engineers and architects in here. But this is the general idea of what we're proposing is 3 turf soccer fields, with the 4th one, which is the one below the current existing field, maybe as a phase 2 down the road. But for the purposes of now, is 3 turf soccer fields with obviously incorporating the baseball field and turfing that for those. For the baseball team's usage, which allows them to start their seasons much earlier. March is often, the weather is not so great. So they would be able to get out on the fields much earlier. If they catch good days in February, they can get out on the fields, which is just, I don't think, possible for them now. They probably go in a gym or something, I'd imagine, which isn't ideal, right? And same with the softball team. Even more so, the softball team doesn't have lights, from what I understand. So we could, you know, in talking with everyone, we're trying to solve, you know, multiple teams' concerns and needs, and obviously have a facility that fits our needs. So the project would be, you know, 3 11-a-side soccer fields with the softball field incorporated into one of the soccer fields, and sort of the soccer field incorporated into the baseball field, if that makes sense. So, and then lighting, and then at some point, we've talked to the booster clubs of baseball and softball. They're about a storage facility they're already speaking about. We may, you know, obviously with a turf facility, we probably have some needs for a little bit of storage as well. So, benefits to the community, obviously there's an economic impact, right? We'd be able to host tournaments, and we currently host 6 weekends of tournaments through our club. So we would be bringing thousands of people into the Coatesville community, spending money on hotels, gas, food, you name it. And every night when we're training, we would train basically Monday to Thursday nights. We would have, you know, a couple hundred kids every night there with their parents needing somewhere to go eat and hang out and get gas and all those things. So there's definitely an economic impact from having a facility like this that benefits the township and the community. So expanded resources help the school district. It helps us. I think it's a win-win in those ways. Obviously, more kids playing sports, the healthier the population. Hopefully there's less gun violence and those things if more kids are directed towards playing sports and those things. So, you know, benefits to the school district. They get a brand new facility. It helps, you know, it helps with having more kids choose to go to Coatesville instead of some of the charter schools and those things that are around. There's more people that'll be on campus showcasing all the great things that are there and the facility. Program, I mean, the fields would be funded by FC Delco, fully funded by FC Delco. And that's really the gist of it. I'm sure there's questions, and I look forward to hopefully answering them the best we can. And there's a lot to be, you know, we've had a lot of discussions about how it works and who gets the times, and that stuff we're very comfortable about getting on paper and solving. I think our reason for being here tonight really is just to get the approval to, or get the board's feeling and hopefully approval of the next steps of now getting, you know, engineers and architects to design what this would really look like, and then go from there and see where it goes. So thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. And I know there are questions. I have a bunch. I don't want to monopolize, but I can start with some. And I see a number of coaches here, softball and baseball coaches, so I want to make sure that I don't know if there's an opportunity for their questions or concerns to be heard too, given if there are any, but just, I guess, one question is just about sort of the usage expectations. I know, you know, if anyone's been to United Sports on a Friday night up in West Bradford Township, this is, so 4 fields, about how many, like, what is the average attendance or crowd size at your matches, and how many nights a week would you be expecting this? Is it year-round? Is it?
Yeah, so we're basically, I mean, there's really not big crowds at youth soccer games, other than the parents, really. But really, it's Monday to Thursday is our biggest needs, from around 5 to 9:30 at night. We run the bulk of our programming from, call it August to December, early December, and then sort of mid-January till early June. You know, we do run tournaments, which we would utilize this facility for that on weekends. We would have games on weekends. You know, we have 112 teams in our club, so split between sort of the Coatesville, Downingtown area and Conshohocken area. So we do utilize the facility there as well. So, you know, we would be using it on weekends in our discussions, you know, until 5:50, whenever, you know, we work out as a time. The school district would have access to use it for gym classes, for, you know, the other sports teams if they want to use it. You know, we talked to the band director. He would be interested in being able to get out and use it. You know, other after-school programming, even from middle school or elementary school, if they wanted to get the kids over there. We're totally, you know, we want this to be sort of ingrained in the community, right? Obviously, we have our needs, but at the same time, we understand we're looking at doing this at a school, right? And there should be collaborative usage, so.
Do you have partnerships with any other school campuses or school districts similar to this?
Currently not. Currently, we maintain a few fields, actually, below the VA hospital. We have a lease to maintain those fields, and we put lights in there. And also at the water plant facility called Parkside, you know, we have a lease to maintain those fields as well. And then we rent at, you know, places like USTC and Proving Grounds in Conshohocken. And we do actually rent from other high schools at the moment, but this would be obviously us funding it and then having a shared, you know, kind of a shared usage.
Again, I have a lot, so if any other committee members or other board members want to jump in, I don't want to take up all the question time, but baseball and softball, and I'm looking to the coaches for this. I guess my understanding at like the professional and college level even is that there's been sort of a shift back from turf back to natural grass because of injuries and other considerations. So, and I know that those fields back there have, that there have historically been issues with flooding or, you know, groundwater. So I guess I can see the benefit, the need for improved facilities. But I also know, I mean, we're talking about replacing a lot of grass with acres of turf, less permeable turf. So I feel like that would also potentially create some groundwater issues, stormwater runoff, that sort of thing. So just wondering, I know we're not at like an engineering phase, it's very early, but just any thoughts or anything you can, any information you can give us about that?
So I would, you know, I don't want to speak for the baseball and softball coaches, but from the drainage standpoint, these fields are probably drained much better than whatever's out there now. I mean, they're engineered to take the water where it needs to go. I mean, they dig a foot and a half down, put, you know, whatever drainage they need and put it to where it needs to go. So I think that technology's probably changed a lot over the years, but I would argue it's probably drains the water away from those areas better than what the current grass situation is. So.
And is there a specific, I don't know if the presentation, I don't think it mentioned, is there a specific brand or type of artificial turf that this would be?
No, not yet. We haven't engaged. There's several sort of big players in that market, and we would put it out to see which one was the right fit. You know, for us, there's certain types that are better for soccer. Your concerns about, you know, injuries and those, the infill that's changed over the years from just sort of ground up tires, so now they have much safer and better infill that helps reduce some of those concerns.
Okay.
From what I understand, this is again my research and just being in this field. So
I want to give others a chance to ask some questions too.
I just have one question. As I was listening to you mentioning your needs, you said that with your group, Monday through Thursday, 5 to 9:30. One of the times you mentioned was August through about December. And I know for Coatesville campus, that's like prime season for boys soccer, girls soccer for the high school teams, as well as the high school field hockey teams. So I'm just trying to get an idea of how that stewardship is going to occur, considering all the teams that we have currently playing in the fall at that exact time. Like, how's that sharing going to take place?
So, I mean, Lisa could probably answer too, but there is still, you still have your current field, right? That I would assume would take a lot of that. And
That's our current field, that in the fall, 3 teams currently use. So we divide that up, our current field.
And I would say, with having other turf fields there, that would allow them to run a JV soccer and varsity soccer. They could use the new fields and cut down on the amount of time that everyone's out there or how late they're going to be out there for the kids. So, Lisa, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
It actually does open up opportunities. For example, our girls soccer and girls field hockey in the fall, they kind of fight for the after-school time slot. So girls field hockey and soccer, they work well together, but they're moving. One time they're on the football turf for a little bit. Sometimes they're sharing half of our multipurpose field, where while FC Delco would not be coming in at 2:30 to 4:30, 5 o'clock, then I could have girls soccer on one field, field hockey on another field, and if boys soccer wanted to throw themselves in the mix as well, we would also have another opportunity during the fall where all teams could practice directly after school if it abide by, coaches' schedules of that sort. So it actually make planning a little bit easier and would free up some more space instead of jamming 3 teams on one of our multipurpose fields that we currently have. And then in addition with, yes, they were already, FC Delco, when we sat down and we met, we did speak about what our fall schedule looks like and how there's games 4 nights a week. Once again, it would not take away from our multipurpose field. They would have our schedules. We athletics actually do our schedules more in advance than what their schedule is released. So they would get our schedule first of our home games, night games, to make sure that they were not scheduling anything on our multipurpose. And usually when, boys are scheduled home, girls are scheduled away in the league. And there's usually different days that our field hockey and soccer also play night games on. So that's how we would work behind the scenes to make sure that partnership all worked for everybody.
Okay. And then my other question is, I know that CKR, Coatesville Kid Raiders, currently use some of the field space that's on our campus, so how would they factor into this if another entity is coming in to utilize the fields?
So I haven't had any discussions with them. I don't know them, but I know, Lisa, you deal with those folks. I think we would, an option if they were interested, and again, we haven't sat down with them, is sort of turning over our lease at Cowan Park, which has lights and is probably, for all intents and purposes, a better facility for them, and letting them maintain and use that facility as opposed to, a dimly lit field that it sounds like they're on now. So I don't know if they're interested in that, that's a solution.
Well, I just hope that they would be included in the conversation because they are a very important part of our community, and I know a lot of players have gone through Kid Raiders who are now playing for the high school football team. So being that they have been our longest, our longest group that has utilized that place, I would hope that they would be part of the conversation regarding this. So I'm done. Thank you.
I have a question, too. Sports is all new to me, and I know Coatesville is a sports town. I don't understand. But you talked about the benefits to the community, and I don't know J.T. Dorsey. He's a
Coatesville
graduate
alumni,
coach.
yeah.
I really have to find out more about him. But I just wanted to know how FC Delco, how do you reach the underserved population? Because what I'm seeing in Coatesville, like some of the, like the baseball and some of the other sports, the underserved population is not part of that. Of course, they're part of the football and basketball. And then found out about, and like I said, this is all new about sports, but how would you reach out to them? What is the cost, And when we're talking about benefits to the community, definitely, you heard about the shooting. If young people have more opportunities, and I know some of these sports are very, very expensive and the parents can't afford them. So what could you do to help with that? And also, you say you're practicing now behind Callan, is that up by the,
It's right behind the VA hospital.
okay. Have
Yeah.
you connected with the Coatesville YMCA? That might be another place to connect with. I mean, because they
Yeah.
have students, underserved population there
Right.
that could, may be interested in, soccer. So
Yeah.
those are my questions. That's what I
So,
wonder about
yeah,
when I think about.
A couple
soccer.
questions in there, right? So with the JT Dorsey Foundation, JT is a Coatesville alumni, and obviously we have a program now that's fully funded by sponsors, so it's free to the kids in Coatesville. We started it, 2 to 3 years ago, and it's up to about 60 kids come twice a week now to the VA, down to those fields down there at Count Park, and it's free. We've solicited sponsorship for that. We provide them T-shirts. The sponsor's very invested. Sometimes it's brought lunch sometimes for the kids, and those kind of things. I think a facility like this allows us to expand on that. Yes, I would agree. Youth sports is expensive. At our club, we do an awful lot of fundraising, and we've never turned away someone due to finances. Again, that's not attacking totally the barrier of entry, which is, we could talk about this with our board's about to embark on a much grander scale to really reduce fees. But we currently have spent over $800,000 in scholarship money over the last 7-8 years. We do a lot of fundraising through, dinners, golf outings, just donations and those things to make sure that any kid that's got the ability, desire, and perseverance to play at our club, we try to make that not an issue. But you touch into a bigger topic of access, right? Being at the high school, I think, provides more access than being at Count Park for kids that are, maybe are more underserved or that are at the high school.
Yeah, because when I look at, slides like this, and it's just my mind, I'm looking at color, and I might see a handful of students of color, and then the other slides are all.
Agreed. I talked to our person about that. We are the most diverse club in the Philadelphia region for sure. And again, we have kids from all walks of life. And through our greater club, at our top elite teams, we have kids coming from Delaware, from Lancaster, from Lehigh Valley, from New Jersey, from inner city Philly, from you name it. There's kids at our club, every nationality and everything. And soccer, I think, is, a sport that does bring lots of different types of, communities together and around a common, everyone plays soccer around the world. So, yeah, and part of the reason, we quite frankly, we looked at the opportunity of turfing Callan Park, but we feel like this is probably a better solution for everyone involved, right? And the long term, more access for kids. It solves a lot of the school's needs, and we want to be ingrained into the community in the right ways. So,
just to speak a little bit about JT Dorsey, he was one of the underserved kids in this community, and he brought home a flyer one day, and his mom was like, "But I have no idea. You want to go play basketball?" I was like, "No, I want to go play soccer." And ultimately, JT had, through soccer, connected with our current board president, who is also a Coatesville alum, who then was picking him up, taking him to and from practice. JT went on to go to Loyola University, graduated from Loyola, had a professional soccer career, and then threw his entire career into giving back to the underserved community. So that's just a little bit about the JT Dorsey himself and the foundation and the foundational work that he does in the communities.
I have a few questions. Thank you so much for coming. I know you guys are a really well-run professional organization, so appreciate you thinking about ways to partner with the district. One question that I had, just looking at some of the details that you laid out in this proposal, it looks like there's been a lot of engagement with Lisa thinking about the groups that use the different fields that are similar to a soccer field, whether it's soccer, field hockey, et cetera. And there was some engagement with the baseball coaches. But what about track and field? Has there been thought to what happens to some of the facilities that are impacted here that are used by track and field, particularly those that are essential to our very long-standing hosting of Chessmont Championships, et cetera? And that might be more of a Lisa
Yeah,
question
that's one
than
I
you guys'
can't answer.
question, that's fine.
So if you notice down here, this field,
Yes,
that is not part of the initial plan.
okay,
So that field right there is where our throwing area is currently. So that is something, ideally, their goal, as in conversations that we had, was 3, potentially 4 fields. They feel as though that their first official phase and plan would be the upper left and then the 2 in the middle, side by side. With the current throwing area that we do have, we also, before they rehabbed the building back in 2010, there is throwing area back behind the stadium that if that was going to be part of the second phase that we might enter in, that would be something that we could then look into to kind of make sure it's up to complete par and ready. They practice back there most days. And it would just have to be organization of looking at it would not prohibit us from still hosting Chessmonts or districts at all. It does not take away from the throwing ability at all, whether it's javelin or shot put or discus.
okay. So what I'm hearing is Phase 1, the current throwing areas for track and field would not be impacted at all.
Correct.
And if they were going to be impacted in a Phase 2, we would evaluate where there's another place to relocate those throwing areas. I will say I've heard a high degree of skepticism that behind the stadium would work. So just putting that out there.
Correct, and that's why we'd have to relook at that same thing. We would look, because we would just have to make sure, because we do have the structures that are currently there. We would just have to reevaluate those structures to see, are they still safe? Are they still productive enough?
Right, and I think, like, to be clear, there's a difference between the standard that a practice facility is held to
Yep.
and the standard that a competition facility is
Understood.
held to.
Right.
I wouldn't want to do anything that makes winners and losers out of different sports programs that we have, because especially, like, track and field is one of the most inclusive sports programs ever. You have all different types of kids, different backgrounds, different skill sets competing in those different events. And so it's really important that we not disadvantage them in order to advantage other sports that we have.
Correct, and that was probably when we first sat down, that was one of the conversations that we did have.
Good. My second question is one that's a little bit more of me with my business hat on. And that's, how are you thinking about the structure of this agreement? Because what my understanding is that FC Delco would pay to make these improvements to the fields. So I imagine there would be some sort of agreement that then gives FC Delco rights for usage on those fields as compensation for the investment. How would maintenance be handled? And if FC Delco chose to discontinue the relationship with Coatesville before the end of the agreement, would there be any sort of obligation to repay part of that for breach of contract, for example?
Okay, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not sure that I can.
I'm not a lawyer
yeah,
either,
so-
but these are things that we have to think about.
Yes, we would, I mean, the first part of that question, we would, we would host tournaments that the fields would be rented in certain periods of time. Obviously, for us, it's a big outlay of finances that
Yeah.
we have to, make the numbers work to
Yeah.
recoup our money. And again, we're not looking to build a sports facility. We're looking for a facility that fits our club's needs, right? That's different than USDC's for-profit, trying to rent out 8,000 kids on Friday night for flag football, right? So we're looking to figure out how to make this work financially by renting out to some soccer tournaments and those things during the year. In terms of breach of contract, again, I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm equipped to answer that right now. I mean, it's a good question. Probably something that would have to be hashed
Something to
out.
think about.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe another question about that is, as FC Delco would be renting the facility to a third party, assumably these are organizations you're familiar with, what sort of liability would you have for the safety, the behavior of those guests on Coatesville property, et cetera? Again, you may not know the answer to that, but these are things that we should be concerned
Yep.
about as we move to the next phase.
100%. We're concerned as well too, right? Everyone needs to be insured at the right level and make sure you have the right insurance to make this work. There's okay. But
So let's take a soccer tournament as an let's take a soccer tournament as an example. When we host our own soccer tournaments, RAPS book about 6 weekends of soccer tournaments. We take each facility as its own facility that we use, and so whether it's parking attendants, field marshals, staff specifically for that event, and we staff it properly for the needs of whatever those events are, right? So if we need more parking staff, if we need more field staff, or whatever have you that you need more of, we take each facility with. In this case, you have a 4-field facility, right? There will probably be an extra 10, 12 people on hand on that day for that facility, just run the tournament to make sure people aren't, pulling their car into the grass in between here, there, or everywhere, right? Yeah. So we'll bring in an extra dumpster for trash, we bring in extra porta johns, that sort of stuff, right? So each event is handled as it may be, and as it is now, we would need more porta johns for just regular like weekend games and practices and that sort of stuff as well. But it is handled from a standpoint of, facility size, facility needs, the amount of people that are going to be there at a given time throughout the entire event and events.
Thank you.
You stole my thunder.
I wasn't trying to.
I know. I get that I have a lot of questions, but I'm not going to say them all. But I do have a piece of paper that I will be giving to Dr. Rabarchek, so we can just make sure that we are handling every concern, every issue, because this is not just, clearly you don't even have the answers to things, which you shouldn't. And just because we have questions does not mean we don't want to. This doesn't look like a great opportunity for us, or is a great opportunity for us. And I think to Liz's question about, I think it was a great question, if you guys would not, that would definitely have to be written in some way, because we couldn't be left with something that we can't upkeep either. So I think that's a huge thing for me. I want to make sure that whatever the agreement is solid and won't keep us in a position that we can't upkeep in general. I was a little disheartened to see that the Javelin area is like one of the main places, but we didn't seem to bring track into the conversation at all. I understand that you won't be using the whole side, but the reason they moved the Javelin from the Derek Morgan field was because there was a lot of water issues there, a ton of water issues. And if we would start building on this, February, March, right, we would be taking that away from one of our biggest meets and seasons, which would be unfair to our kids in general. So I understand that that's an option, but the whole reason it was moved from that area was because of the drainage issues. And I just think that we have a lot more to look at than just, and there's a lot you can't answer because it's more of a logistics thing that, Jeff has to look at and things like that in general. But because of that, that just really stuck out to me because I'm glad that you brought in softball and baseball and that we're going to give them a field that they very much deserve, especially softball, honestly, because they've kind of been kicked out to Callan, which is not fair in any way. But I think that bringing all stakeholders to the conversation about this would have been helpful, because ultimately track does have I just don't want anything to change our Chestmont. People have been trying to take Chestmonts from us and states from us, and it would just not be great for us.
I told them I wasn't allowing that to happen. We're keeping it.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure that as we do that, we have to have a process. We have to know what we're doing. We have to have answers to all of these things. And I won't ask all my questions, but I personally do want to hear from the baseball and the softball. I want to know what their concerns were, and I want to make sure before we're voting on anything that we're hearing what they like and what they dislike or what they need, because I don't personally want to vote for something that's going to hinder their play, their game, or make any other team that we're working with, any other team that we have less than if this is built. Not that I think that that's what's happening. I just want to make sure that all our T's are crossed and all our I's are dotted in this, and that's all that's what I'm gonna say. I should just.
Oh, you're done already? Surprised. I think, just piggybacking off of the track thing real quick, because my kid threw jav. The javelin is in one of the areas. It's not in the other area. That's why I was confused by the map. If you pull up that map, there's literally a field laying halfway cutting off the javelin track.
That's their potential second phase if they do the second phase.
So the first phase is just 2 fields then?
It would be 3. It would be these 2 fields side by side, which is where.
That's where javelin is. You can see it at the, no, it's not. It's in your picture.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
From my understanding, though, that wouldn't have come that far out, because there's a hill there.
Right, but we also can't make it harder for.
No, understood.
Yeah.
And once again, I think the plan was for that area, they would still, without having any type of architecture people, that they were still gonna, for the first plan, keep that there as much as possible.
Okay.
Oh, that's what I just wanted to make sure that you knew that's where the javelin was.
This is them doing the best of their abilities, walking out and mapping it out without an actual architect going through and saying yes and no, what can and cannot happen yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that would also be, we want to sit back down. They want to sit back down and make sure that everything works for everybody before everybody says yes or no.
Well, no, I've got lots of questions about everybody, so I care about them all.
You had baseball kids too.
I did. That's why, I mean, it's great for the baseball perspective. Put that hat on, and this is yay. I'm all for it. Except for I don't like temporary fences, which I'm assuming we would have to do. Right?
What was that question?
We would have to have temporary fences for both baseball and softball in this case.
For softball, yes. I don't believe for baseball that we would.
Oh, the way that's laid out?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
fence
I mean,
can
we
be on
talked
the
to
outside of the soccer
I mean,
field?
If you looked at the current baseball outfield fence, it's a little it's not a circular thing like you see at a baseball stadium as it is, so.
Some of it, right, and then the rest is, some of it's temporary, at least the last game I was at.
So, and again, these drawings are, like, really what we're looking for is permission to move ahead and actually get, one of these build design companies, sports companies, to come in and say, all right, what are your parameters? What do you need? Let me put something together. And then, right, this is initial sort of thought process and what things can do. So sure, we can try to, make sure that the javelin area is taken care of and, that the baseball outfield fence makes sense and these things, right? But these companies do this all over the country and would be able to come in and say, okay, what are your parameters? Let's meet those parameters. So we're part of this process is understanding everyone's needs and wants, and we try to accommodate what we can.
What would it do to the JV and 9th grade field? Because looks like that's a soccer field now with no baseball anymore.
So the JV ninth grade baseball field would basically turn into the softball field. They would then work in connection with the baseball team to plan out how they would all practice together or separately. Sometimes depending upon when the teams are home, away, ninth grade, their schedule's very different. And then if the baseball and softball would be able to bring in their batting facility, that would also then kind of come into as a space of almost think of it like stations to a certain point. They would have to figure that part out. For a game, JV could play right on top of the varsity baseball before their night game, and we wouldn't have to do anything extra to the field. So they would be able to continue to play. If there's rain, they'd be able to continue to play. Same thing with softball. They would then, the yellow dots would be ideally the lights that FC Delco would put in. The blue ones are currently where we have lights on our field. These 3 lights are very small, not a whole lot of lighting for the CKR group. So we would then able to do a 3:45 game for JV baseball, softball, and then they could play a 6:45 night game underneath the lights as well.
So they would juggle 3 teams now on the one instead of 3 teams on 2.
Ideally, depending upon what that ninth grade team might be around or not around that day. We would also, the intent was to leave the varsity softball field as is, if that worked out based upon the construction. And then anybody could use this for any type of infield, fielding, outrunning, things of that type of nature as well. So.
Would there be like foul posts and everything, or would that interfere?
That's part of the construction plan. I think they would have to plan
Consider.
out and figure that part out.
Now, CKR was definitely something I was also, concerned about. And like they were saying is like to give access to one, we want to consider not taking access from another. And that's important because these are our kids right here in our community that are underserved, and this location is convenient for them. And even he said like 3 different times, the other location's not great. So I just want a solution to be thinking of that in advance in the planning stages to consider that part of our community that has been so important. Because while we want to help build a great soccer program and become a feeder program that's amazing for our soccer team, we don't want to get rid of a program that's been feeding a football team.
So that was my initial question. What do we do? And I didn't even realize that they had the field that they put lights in behind the VA hospital. Like literally, I think 2 weeks ago, I actually physically saw the field. I was like, wow, I've driven past that 500 times and didn't even know. It was right on the side of 340.
So it's not a bad location at all. In fact, it's much more well lit than the current location where the CKR is playing. So it's.
But can kids walk?
What's that?
Can kids walk to it?
That I'd
From town.
probably not. Yeah.
Right, that's
So,
the
yeah,
concern, is a lot of kids do walk
That's
to
fair.
practice and home, yeah.
But that's our desire to be here too, so
Right,
kids get
everybody
exposed to
wants to be
soccer
here.
too. So, those are decisions. I get it. I understand. We're offering a solution to them that I think provides a better facility for them. But I totally understood your question. But it's not a bad facility. It's a really nice facility, to be quite honest.
And so field priority, you mentioned the Monday through Thursday, 5 to 9:30, August to December, and then mid-Jan to June, I think you said. But you didn't say anything about weekends, like how often are there weekend use as well? And I don't know our weekend schedules here. I know sometimes my kids had practice, sometimes they didn't. How does that gonna overlap with our sports that we run here for our own school?
Yeah, I mean, we would have weekend games there for sure, but we can manipulate that time during a day if someone, whoever, baseball needs a game on Saturday, we can, schedule games from 8 to 11. They can have it from 1 to whatever, or vice versa. I mean, that's pretty easily solved, I think, and I don't think on the weekends is going to be a conflict very often at all.
Lisa, how often are those conflicts? Would they occur, like in regards to weekend games, practices? That's during the
Fall,
summer.
we had a total of 3 home games, coaches would practice. However, that would be, to me, something where I say our multi-purpose field, we have, here is our game schedule, and they would probably come in after us. We tend to do morning games. Lacrosse, we tend to have a couple more games, maybe total of 5, at most 6, whether that's a combination of boys and girls, maybe 3 each. Same thing, we tend to have games, 11, 12 o'clock, and then we're done by 1:30. Practice-wise, on a Saturday, a lot of times coaches will, and I'm thinking fall, spring right now, they'll practice maybe for 2 hours and then they're gone. If that, sometimes they start early in the season and then they do not continue because they get into the height of their season. Baseball, softball, I do know that baseball during their season likes to practice about 6 days a week. Same thing, I do know that that is a baseball concern about how we would work that out with their practices. Softball, same thing, they usually start very much in the beginning on Saturdays and then they phase out as well. But their games are not on weekends for baseball, softball during that time. They go Monday, Wednesday, Friday for their games. And I think that also, once again, because, when this was originally presented to me, my mind was blown and saying, I don't understand how I'm going to do any of this. How is this going to work? This is all going to land on my plate. I'm not going to be able to do this. But the more we sat down with conversations and the more we spoke about what we can do for each other and understanding how the willingness that they are to, okay, we can adjust a practice here or a game here as long as we plan accordingly. I think it potentially could work for a lot of us. But once again, it's all about that planning piece. And that was one of my questions is when does their schedule come out versus our schedule? Looking at the spring, ours is already done. I could already know it. Theirs is just about finished. So I could have given ours 2 months ago so they could start blocking out when they needed what fields.
And I just want to bring some clarification to this for board members that if you were to proceed and even going forward, once an agreement is drawn up, like all of this would need to be spelled out in the agreement, exactly what we're talking about in regards to who would be responsible for tracking the times, making sure there's an understanding if there is a special event at the high school that FC Delco knows that it's gonna lean to the district in regards to using the fields for that reason. So this would all be the help of our solicitor and obviously your legal team to spell out that agreement to ensure that every aspect is spelled out so we don't run into any of those difficulties if we were to go this direction.
I think just so you know, we currently work with other facilities as well. And so they give us blackout dates, right? Well in advance, right? And then at that point, we go and, hey, you can't start till 1 o'clock today. Got it. Then that's when our weekends, then we schedule in and around it. Lisa, and speaking with Lisa, she has her schedule 6 months ahead of time almost, right? So that's just put into the calendar. And then that's just, our schedule comes out later. So then we just work around that. We're even in situations with our current facilities that they've got it completely blocked out. And we've got to go, I got to go and find fields here, there, and everywhere else, right? And so it's different school districts. We currently are using your multi-purpose field, right, as well, right? So I go out and we find out and we fill in those blanks when we need to.
I think that we would just want to make sure that our students obviously got first priority. They're playing, under rules, and we want to make sure that they get priority. And I also realize as I'm looking through this is that we have some work to do on our end as a board for our policies, our facility, you know, we have a lot of work to do too on our end. So I think that there's a lot, we have a lot on our mind about it, and there's just a lot of questions. So, yeah.
Hijacked me.
And I just want to say, for purpose of clarity, Director Brindle, who's the chair of this committee, had to leave because her son's being inducted into the National Honor Society, and we don't want her to miss that. So as vice chair, I'm taking over the committee meeting. And Davis, I wanted to ask if you know, from a student's perspective, have any initial reactions or concerns that you want to share with Lisa and the FC Delco team on this proposal?
When we first heard about the project, me and Julia were really excited about all the good opportunities it could bring our staff and students here on our campus. The only question we had was, how will the project impact students, even those who aren't involved in sports, for example, in terms of campus space, campus noise, and or the parking situation?
Great questions.
Good questions. I think, you know, from my understanding, past 5 o'clock, the campus parking and all those things shouldn't be an issue at all. And noise, we wouldn't overlap times very often from when the student body's there and then when we're there, which is kind of why this potentially makes sense from our standpoint, right? So good question, though.
Great. Thank you. Are there, you have more questions?
Just, I swear I'm going to keep it to 2 more. And then I'll send my list with Larens to whoever it might be. Just things to think about, because last thing I want you to do is to be like, oh, we didn't think of that. And that one question is the one thing that's going to make it so we're not going to spend thousands of dollars on engineers because there's no way we could meet that need. That's why these conversations are important and the questions are important. We don't want you to spend that money. We'd love to do the project, but if there's a barrier that's going to make it not worth it for you, we don't want you to go to the next phase. But my question was parking for sure. Because let me tell you, when my kids played soccer with CKR at the same time, parking was a disaster. And that's just with CKR there at practice. And we could never find parking in the parking lot where the soccer kids play. Coming to games at night at soccer, CKR, disaster. We would have to park over where the baseball fields are. And then game nights, like basketball games, I know that you're not going to be here in the winter, so we're going there mostly. But there are not always easy parking, I would say, after 5 o'clock, in my opinion, just being a parent. And then the other was security, response. You mentioned things like parking marshals and all of that, but this would be a lot more people more often at night, more consistently, it seems like, even more than CKR, I assume, based on the numbers you were saying before, unless I miscalculated.
I don't know the size of CKR, so I can't really compare.
Yeah. Like how many students per night, Monday through Thursday, would that bring?
I mean, there'd be probably 3 different time slots of, call it, I don't know, what are we talking? Over the course of,
60 kids per time.
yeah, so maybe over the course of 3 time slots, 200-300 kids.
Okay. And then that
60,
doesn't
70
count
at a time.
tournaments on the weekend, which we've all been to tournaments and we know how they go.
Yeah, weekends, tournaments, but, there is ample parking here compared to other facilities that host tournaments. So, I mean, I don't know who leaves their cars there on the weekends and stuff, but.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I think this has been a really great discussion. We appreciate the two of you coming, and we appreciate the coaches here as well. I wanted to just do a quick litmus test of the committee members and the board members who are not part of the committee to ask, are you comfortable giving this list of questions to Lisa and FC Delco and endorsing them moving forward to the next phase? Or is there anybody that has significant enough concerns about the proposal that you don't think they should do that? And of course, if you've heard questions that you think are big concerns and you don't want to, that's a different thing. But I just want to see, like, is everybody here comfortable with the idea that the questions we've raised will be addressed as part of this and they can move forward to the next phase?
Yeah, I'm still concerned about the javelin. So hopefully we can talk with Coach about that, so we can just make sure that everything is covered and nobody's being put out in any way. I like the idea. I think it's going to be helpful. I think it's going to up our game, and I think it's going to be helpful for our community. I like it. I just want to make sure that, again, we have all of our questions answered. I'm curious still to know how your meeting went with softball and baseball and what they feel positive about and what they, have concerns about. And we would like to hear that, I think, as a board. But I say we definitely, my vote would be to move forward. But
Yeah, I think we should move forward and just for further conversation at another time.
Yeah. Okay.
So let me just clarify what that would mean. It would be getting the rest of the questions answered, getting additional input from coaches that would be utilizing those areas, talking to kid raters so they're aware that, what the implications could potentially be. And I think that drawing up a draft agreement so we can start getting the pieces into what that would look like. And then what we would potentially do then is add that agreement as an informational item to our November meeting. So everyone has access to the agreement, understand what the agreement is, has the 2 weeks prior to December's reorganization meeting. We usually have a meeting following reorganization. That's where then that agreement would be considered at that time. Does that make sense?
Okay, so over the next 2 weeks, there'd be a preliminary agreement drafted. That would be made public on the board agenda in 2 weeks. We could discuss it then, but we wouldn't necessarily vote on it.
Correct.
And then there'd be another 2-week period before we would vote on that.
That's an ambitious timeline, I think. No, I just think that's a lot to put in a framework of an agreement together, I think.
That's the
listen,
earliest,
we-
that's the most aggressive timeline that we can give you. If you would like to move slower than that, we're good with that.
I don't know
think
if
the
anyone-
important thing is that
Lisa,
we
I don't
get
know
the
what you-
questions
we are in
answered.
no rush. Whatever pace we would like the questions I'm sorry, I did interrupt you.
If we could do it, we'll do our best and,
Right.
We'll talk to.
I mean, if
to
not,
Lisa.
it would then go to January, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Right, because we only
January
have one
committee.
meeting in
Okay.
December.
Listen, we're
All right.
fine.
Would that 2-week agreement go between their legal and our legal to figure that out? Obviously,
Well,
we answer
that's-
all your questions, but I
so-
just want to make sure.
So the agreement
I
would be,
wanna
that would,
understand.
so the agreement that would be drawn up over the next 2 weeks would be going back and forth between our legal and their legal.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
Then it would be presented on that, it was an informational item on the November, what's that date, 27th? 25th?
25th.
Agenda. And then we'll have an additional, that's an even tighter because we come back from December, yeah, it's a week. So that would be pretty tight, but that would be the ambitious approach to it.
We don't have to go that route.
We don't have to go that route. My understanding was there were some construction restraints when you talked to us about this, that if this were to go forward and meeting deadlines over a summer when no one's on campus on those fields, that was my understanding of it.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a goal. That was presented to us, that that's the best time. We also don't know if a company can do it at that time at the moment, right?
Fair
So-
enough.
So I think, again, we need to start with a framework of an agreement and then really then figure out the timeline from there, in my
Okay.
opinion, right?
That's
And I-
right.
and
So
I
we
think
could at
just-
least, sorry, Liz, go ahead.
Just to be clear, if we didn't follow that more ambitious timeline, we would be looking at January 13th for the committee meeting, where we would review the preliminary agreement, and January 27th for the full board meeting, where we would vote on that agreement. And so that would be the less ambitious timeline, and whichever one of those works is the one that we can pursue.
All right?
Great.
Great. Thank you so much, Rob.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I know we hit you with a lot of questions, so
it is-
I appreciate your
You
patience.
should have questions. It's great.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our presentations for the Operations Committee. Moving on to our agenda items. Letter A, Edwin L. Heim Company, cash pool unit repair. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the proposal from Edwin L. Heim Company to repair the failed display interface in the Dectron pool unit at the senior high school for a total cost of $5,233 as presented. Any questions from members of the committee? Questions from the full board? All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and we have letter B, Edwin L. Heim, cash water valve replacement, that the Board of School Directors approve the proposal from Edwin L. Heim Company for the replacement of the leaking auto valve for rooftop HVAC glycol system at the senior high school for a total cost of $9,152 as presented. Any questions from the committee? Any questions from the full board? All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, it is so moved. Letter C, Cook Service Company Stadium Concession Stand Repairs. That the Board of School Directors approve the proposal from Cook Service Company for replacement thermostat for the Continental refrigerator and replacement compressor and filter dryer for the Continental freezer for a total cost of $1,541 as presented. Invoice C. Sorry, that made me laugh. The attachment. Any questions from the committee? Any questions from the full board? All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is so moved. Letter D, Kencor LLC, East Fallowfield chairlift repair. That the Board of School Directors ratify the proposal from Kencor LLC for chairlift replacement platform ramp cable assembly repair for a total cost of $2,755.55 as presented. Any questions from the full board, or from the committee? Any questions from the full board? All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is so moved. Letter E, Extreme Insulation, cash pipe insulation repair. That the Board of School Directors ratify the change order from Extreme Insulation for replacing missing or damaged insulation with 1-inch thick Armaflex to help with condensation in additional areas at the senior high school for $2,300 as presented. Any questions from the committee? Any questions from the full board? All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is so moved. Okay, letter F, Schrader Group Administrative Building Office Renovations, that the Board of School Directors approve the proposal from Schrader Group for office renovations at the administration building for a total cost of $25,270 as presented. Can you speak to what this
I'm
is?
going to let Mr. Brazil speak to it.
Oh, he's already there. He's so great. Thank you.
So this is for the upstairs area that is actually where we're at. An open air, and one side was actually built into 2 offices. And looking to have the business management department work better, we're going to install 2 additional offices. Right now we have 1 person in the conference room that's been there for a while. This makes it more sense. And then we're also going to look at the HVAC in this building because it's not what it should be. But I just one change at the meeting this month. It won't be $25,270. I'm going to take out the construction observation. I'll do that myself, and it'll be $18,870.
I've never heard of that elementary school.
Neither did I. Maybe we'll build them too.
All right, okay, I'm so glad.
I'll make sure that's fixed.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, that's all right.
Oopsie, oopsie.
Okay, so you said it's going to actually be $18,870.
870.
Okay.
Yeah, that's 6,400. I don't need them to do it.
Okay,
can do it in-house.
thank you. Any questions from the committee members on that? Any questions from other board members? Can I just amend that to the 18,870?
You can, but if it's going to be less than what it's listed for now, at the end of the month,
We can just approve it for the,
it'll
okay.
be fine.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Then we will approve it as, at the amount listed, knowing that it will likely come in under the allocation. Thank you. We do like that. Okay, all in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
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 Yes. Okay, it is so moved. Letter G, Healthcare Services Group Custodial Agreement Amendment, that the Board of School Directors approve the amendment from Healthcare Services Group to the custodial agreement provided to the Coatesville Area School District as presented. Can you explain why we're amending the agreement?
Well, last month you approved an amended agreement. It was for the additional space, the renovations at North Brandywine and Reeseville. You approved the agreement. You didn't approve the legal document. So this is just clarifying that and to make sure it's a legal amendment.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the committee? Any questions from the full board? Okay. All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is so moved. Letter H, Corbett Inc., Doe Run Elementary Furniture. The Board of School Directors approve the proposal from Corbett Inc. to furnish the Doe Run Elementary School building not to exceed the cost of $1,036,249.65 as presented. Can you talk a bit about the?
I can.
Okay, great.
So
He was still there,
this
so.
is a milestone, obviously, for Doe Run, as this is all the furniture that will go into the new school, from teacher's desk, student desk, tables, chairs, the new library furniture, you name it. Every piece of furniture will be brand new in that school along with the building. So this is a not to exceed the $1,036,249.65 because this is going out to bid. And that's why it's in the where we are in the process. We went through Corbett Incorporated as they have that partnership with Schrader Group. But then as Lori worked the furniture as well with Reeseville and North Brandywine, we had it go out to bid and we were able to have significant savings on that, and we're anticipating the same thing. That's why we have it to not to exceed.
Great, I appreciate that. Any questions from the committee on this item? Any questions from other board members? Okay, all in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. It is so moved. All right, I'm going to bundle I and J, Hiller CASD Cellular Dialer Monitoring Agreement and Fire Alarm Monitoring Agreement, that the Board of School Directors approve the proposal for the installation of cellular communicator to monitor the fire alarm systems for $5,940, and annual fire alarm monitoring for all district buildings for a total cost of $5,700. Any questions from the committee on this item? Any questions from the full board? Okay, all in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just make a note on that?
You can.
We did a little research on changing companies.
Yes.
Because the current company had some changes back in the spring that really
We didn't like?
we didn't care for. But in researching it, in the process, we found that one building wasn't on, one building shouldn't have been on, and this also will save us a little over $5,000 a year.
So better service and less cost. Tastes
Correct.
great and less filling. Love it. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. So, you know, you're up here for long enough, you start to get a little loopy. Okay, there are no informational items. There is no old business. Is there any new business? Is there any public comment? Oh, coming on my left side. All right. First, we have Bill Mendenhall on the FC Delco proposal. Mr. Mendenhall, you're welcome. The microphone is off, so please tap it before you start to speak. The board has requested all persons making comments on agenda items list their name, address, telephone number, and motion items. There is a 3-minute time limit per person. The board does not take action or discuss items not appearing on the agenda. The board values public comments and wishes to convey that although board members cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda, they listen carefully and appreciate and value input from the public. Mr. Mendenhall.
Thanks. Bill Mendenhall, West Brandywine Township.
I'm here as the varsity softball coach, not in my chemistry teacher role tonight. Good evening. I'd like to speak on behalf of the coaches and the Softball Booster Club in support of the proposal you heard from FC Delco to convert our baseball and softball fields to multipurpose turf fields. My Booster Club president and I had the opportunity to sit with representatives of FC Delco that you heard from tonight last week to hear their proposal. We thought they were enthusiastic about the possibility of creating this partnership that helps both their organization and the school district. They were very receptive to our thoughts and suggestions and did an excellent job of answering our initial questions. We were then able to share these preliminary plans with the entire Booster Club, and they were all very excited about this possibility. While this project would mean a total relocation of the varsity softball field, this project would bring a serious enhancement to our athletic facilities, especially to our softball field. We were hopeful that the one corner of the field that would become our softball field would maintain the feel and look of a softball field, not just become an extra set of lines on turf. These fields with lights would bring Coatesville schools closer to Title IX compliance for softball and allow us to move our night games back on campus, as we're currently the only sport that plays our home games off campus. Many schools around District 1 are moving towards turf fields for baseball and softball and have done so with very favorable results, as the fields can be used for a variety of other activities and sports as well. Turf would mean more time on the fields and less time in the gym when dealing with spring weather, and less of our games being postponed. This would open up the gym for other school and community activities. The economic impact for the surrounding community with the increased use of our facilities would be enormous. We would highly recommend allowing FC Delco to move forward with this project, and we're looking forward to the collaboration with them to see these enhancements to our facilities. And if any of you have questions, I don't think I can answer them tonight because that's not the format of this, but at any other time, I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mendenhall. Really appreciate your input. Next on the list is Hal Ziegler, also speaking on the FC Delco proposal.
Hal Ziegler, baseball coach. I live in Cowan Township. I've been coaching now 35, this will be 35 years this coming year, so I've been here for a while. Our coaching staff is definitely in favor. I don't know if any of you go by and see us on a wet day when it's raining. We're out there trying to get all the mud to play a game off the field, all the water. And we do that every year, and it's just a matter of the beast with the parking lot, and all the water comes off the parking lot, comes down through the baseball field. And in order to play, we're one of the fair weather sports, so we can't play in mud, so we got to cancel or change it to another night. With the turf, we would be able to play even through a light rain. So there's a lot of times we can play later in the day because the sun comes out, but you can't play early because it rains. And then you can't practice because of the rain. So we are definitely in favor of it, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your input. Next is Lori Shannon Bailey, speaking on FC Delco, 3F, and ShotSpotter, I think.
Good evening. My address is 268 Little Britain Road, Nottingham, PA 19362. I appreciated the dialogue about the kid raters. It's really, really important that we maintain that connection. And know a lot of kids cannot walk from their home, at least from the city of Coatesville, cannot walk from their home to the VA hospital to play softball or whatever it is that they're going to be playing. So I wanted to make sure you all understand that that is not that is not a safe walking area. But I was glad to hear several of you mention the importance of kid raters and maintaining that connection. So I appreciate that. In terms of the ShotSpotter, I think that's a no-brainer. I appreciated the comments about when community organizations work together with school districts and hospitals, an ecosystem of safety is created. So I thought that was right on point. Let's see here. I wanted to ask about the school board, the administration building office renovations. I appreciated knowing that somebody is using a conference room right now for office space. When I read it on the agenda, I was like, okay, well, what's going on here? But it does help those of us who are following our money to know exactly what you're doing with our money. And I was also pleased to hear that the price is reduced from 18,000, I'm sorry, from 25,000 to 18,000. So kudos to
Jeff
for knowing that there's some of us in the community that watch our heart in tax dollars, and we appreciate every effort that's being made to save our money, because the more money we can save in construction projects, we can put them into academic programs and improving the academics for our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon Bailey. Appreciate your feedback. Finally, we have Michelle Muhammad speaking on FC Delco.
Good evening. As a band parent and a board member of the supporting entity that promotes and basically shows off the marching band, I'm standing here in front of you to say how we are in favor of this proposal. Granted, there are some questions. The thing that we're looking at, because this is a turfed area, and I think these gentlemen already said ahead of time how bad it gets when it rains, and it's hard. And if you've ever been to a campus where it rained on the practice field before a show, and you had to run around with towels to wipe off shoes, band shoes, because they would be deducted because of the mud on the shoes. Their points would be coming off. Having a turfed surface would be absolutely phenomenal. Also, just something also for the board to consider is that, now we just finished our marching band season this past Saturday at our championship this past Saturday. But if we had a facility like this, fields like this would give us an opportunity to put our hats in the ring for hosting marching band competitions. And if any of you have ever been to one, it's not only a plus for the school itself, the district, but the businesses in the surrounding area. So if we have facilities that can help promote Coatesville facility, we can host some marching band competitions here in Coatesville. And we're always looking for ways to show off Coatesville, and I love showing off Coatesville. And this would be advantageous for us to do something like this. Now, granted, we got a lot of questions to be asked, because I mean, you know, hey, if we're going to host a band competition, do we have to sit in the back and wait for these people to make up their mind if they want to schedule their stuff first, or can we, as members of Coatesville, get that feel first? So those kinds of questions I know you still have to ask, but as a band, we do support that. They've said clearly, you know, a turf instead of mud is always better. But it would also put us in a good position as a band to be able to offer to other bands to come and host in our facility and really show the good side of Coatesville. And since all of the band members fall into the Coatesville High School, guess what? We can really show it off. So we support this, of course, with all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate a different perspective outside the sports as well. Thank you. That concludes public comment. Our next meeting of the Operations Committee is January 13th, 2026. And with that, I adjourn the Operations Committee at 7:53 p.m. And I think next is Education.
I think that turns it over to the Education Committee. And I'm going to call to order the committee at 7:53 p.m. This evening, I note the presence of myself, Ms. Donna Rowland. Excused is Elgin Bailey, and Liren is going to sit in for Steve Wilson. I forgot anybody? No. And Hannah couldn't make it this evening. First and foremost, we have a quorum, so we'll move ahead with the meeting. I know only committee members will make approvals for these things to be moved to full board approval. First and foremost, we'll do the approval of the minutes. Does anyone on the committee have any comments or adjustments to the minutes? Seeing none, if you would like to approve those minutes, please say yes.
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 Yes. And they are approved. We do have one presentation this evening, and they patiently have been waiting through all of our questions. And we would like to welcome Union Community Care. And if you could introduce yourself and take it away.
Thank you.
So much for the opportunity to discuss the potential for school-based health here in the Coatesville area school district. My name is Elisa Jones. I serve as president and CEO of Union Community Care, where our mission is very simple. It is to stand for whole health to help you live your fullest life. So as a community health center, we serve this community. It's been our pleasure to be here since July. We have a health center on the first floor of the Brandywine Center right there on Lincoln Highway. As an organization, we serve 55,000 patients per year across Lancaster, Lebanon, and Chester counties. Our services include medical, dental, behavioral health, pharmacy, and social services. Right there on the first floor of Brandywine Health Center, we have had the opportunity to so far serve over 4,000 of our Coatesville neighbors. So we are actively engaged, and one of the opportunities we believe is to extend these healthcare services to students and families of your wonderful school. So at Union Community Care, we have a 55-year history of serving communities. We have 6 school-based health centers already in operation, 3 in elementary schools, 1 in a middle school, and 2 in high schools. They are all located in Lancaster County, but we have 2 planned in Lebanon County as well. So far, in just our school-based health centers during 2025 calendar year, we have provided almost 5,700 visits to almost 3,500 young people. So we are very active in this school-based space and have experience with school care. So essentially, the healthcare services that are available at a school-based health center include same-day visits for illnesses and injuries, so things like sore throats, cough, flu, rash, ear pain, cuts, scrapes, minor injuries, and UTIs. We also do well child checks and sports physicals, medication management, vaccines, reproductive health, dental care, behavioral health, including counseling and psychiatry, and social services for families that need to be connected to other services. The way payment works is that students who have health insurance, we bill their health insurance. So if a student has health insurance, we bill their health insurance. We accept all Medicaid and CHIP products. We also accept private insurance. Youth who have no health insurance, our very first action is to screen them for possible insurance. Having health insurance is good for young people and good for families. So if they are eligible, then we will help, with, of course, the family's permission, we will help enroll the young person in CHIP coverage. If they are not eligible for any type of health insurance, then services are provided on what's called a sliding fee scale, which means that the cost for most families is $25. Seeing a doctor for $25. If a family is unable to pay the $25, they pay nothing. No one is turned away because they cannot pay. So as an organization, we give away each year about $6 million in free care. As a nonprofit, as a community health center, that is part of our mission, and we are privileged to serve every individual regardless of whether they can pay or not. I wanted to make sure that I ground this discussion in Coatesville's needs. So we did a deep dive into the Chester County Community Health Assessment, which was released fairly recently, and it identified for children these top health issues, including mental health, intellectual and developmental disabilities, obesity, substance abuse, and lack of physical activity. So then we really took those and also wanted to see what the health assessment talked about in terms of barriers, and the barriers included almost 50% of respondents saying the cost of services was a barrier. So as we discussed, school-based health is available to every student whose parent has agreed, so cost is not an issue. So that helps meet that barrier. Lack of insurance, almost 23% of respondents said lack of insurance is what's contributing to poor health. Again, everyone, regardless of insurance, can be seen at a school-based health center. 22% said the lack of providers who accept insurance. We accept all insurance available in this region. Not enough providers and transportation challenges. For young people with health issues, being able to get services, medical services at the school eliminates the issue of transportation. It also helps working families who have to leave work in order to take a child to a health visit, helps them stay at work, again, helps families who that is a very, very important issue as they look at their overall security and well-being. We also want to ground ourselves in the voice of families. So this is taken directly from what families said in the community listening sessions in your county's needs assessment. One person said, we don't have enough behavioral health or mental health providers for children, especially in Coatesville. We will be offering behavioral health. Another person said transportation is an issue. If you don't have a car, it's hard to get your kids to appointments. If parents agree, the child can get served right at school. And the last comment that we thought was applicable was, you have to wait months to get a kid into therapy. By then, the crisis has already happened. So by offering behavioral health services in the school with the parents' permission, we hope to intervene early before mental health issues become more serious and might need other levels of care. So I know this is very small, I apologize, but what I did want to provide is evidence in the literature for school-based health centers and their impact. So there's citations there, but the literature has shown over the course of several decades that having school-based health is good for access to care and health equity, for mental health and suicide prevention, for academic achievement, early mental health access, and can also help with discipline and school behavior. So that's there as background information for you as well. So in conversations with school leadership, a potential location has been identified at the high school. It is in a room across the hall from the nurses' stations. At our other school-based health centers, being very close to the school nurse is always ideal. The space would require minor renovations to create a private exam area and lab space. We would intend to be open year-round on all days that the school is open. It's very important to be open during the summer because that's when many families need to get those school physicals and those sports physicals done. And we want to make sure that students who need access to healthcare have it year-round, not just when school is open in the fall and spring. So this is a very important point, that parental approval is obtained through a consent form that's available online. It's also best when it's given out at the beginning of the year with school materials. Parental consent is required for students to access services. So all services, except for those mandated by Pennsylvania law, require parental consent. What we are able to do is if the day of the student needs services, we can contact mom or dad or guardian and ask if they will give us consent. And right on our website, it's the first thing that pops up. Mom or dad can go ahead and complete that consent form from their mobile device if they would like us to see the child. If the parent does not want the child seen at the school-based health center, they simply do not sign the consent form. In all of our experience, which is now decades of experience at school health, very rarely does a student's parent say no to school-based health center services. Very rarely. But of course, that is their choice. There is no cost to the school. That's very important. So we have a memorandum of agreement, which is in the solicitors, work queue. We've already gotten some initial feedback back, but essentially there is no cost to the school. So Union Community Care does not charge the school, and the school does not charge Union Community Care. So think of us as using space in the school at the pleasure of the school, and we are able to cover our costs by billing insurance for those students who have insurance. We do have a space agreement, which again the solicitor has, where it's clear that Union maintains liability for our portion of the space, and we have general liability and also medical malpractice. So we have coverage for our portion of the space and for the activities that we provide. And of course, the school maintains liability for its portion as well. So I'll just end with areas of opportunity that were identified by the Alliance for Health Equity. It is our privilege to be in Coatesville and to serve this community, and we are here because the Alliance for Health Equity did an RFP for a new healthcare provider, and we won that. So in their areas of opportunity, they talked about all of those issues that have already been raised by members of the community, including access to care and equity. And we believe that a school-based health center in Coatesville would allow for those objectives to be met. I'm very happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Is it okay if I start with a couple? Okay. Thank you for coming. Alyssa, correct? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm terrible at names, so I'm proud of myself right now. You know, I'm a logistics person, I guess, I'm finding. And so some of my basic concerns were simply, I mean, also after just seeing the whole FC Delco thing, which you had to sit through, thank you, that's more traffic now on campus, more traffic, more people, students, yes, but I thought originally it's also open to the community at some point, or no? Can you clarify that?
So that is the school's choice. So that would be your all's choice whether you want the school-based health center to be open to community. What we have found is that many school districts do like it to be open to community after school hours because they know that the community around the school is often underserved. And having more access to healthcare is a good thing. And that has, we've also seen it during summer as well. So one of our partners in Columbia offers their school-based health center after school and during the summer. But that is the school's choice. If the school is only open to students and staff, you know, we just want to be aware that we want to be able to have a location that would have enough students to make sure that we have enough volume to make the health center viable.
And the potential location, I know it would require a little bit of things, and you already said that that would be something that comes under your cost.
Yes,
the cost
ma'am.
of the district, and that includes, I guess, the parking. I'm trying to figure out where that parking is.
That's a great question. I would ask for
Okay.
school leadership to answer that
Front
question.
part of the building there, down.
Where the football field is?
Yes. Like we would designate, usually there is, during the day especially, there's like probably 10 spots on either end that are open. So they would have like reserved spots for the Union Community Healthcare Center.
Is there any additional responsibility, or does it take away any responsibility from the nurse that we would currently have?
Excellent question, ma'am. Not at all. At all of our school-based health centers, our nurses are our best friends. And the nurses are really the advocates for the school-based health center because, and I'm sure Coatesville is no different, the responsibilities that PDE has put on nurses are really not achievable. And so they need that support. So that us being there allows nurses to be able to focus on some of those PDE requirements and not having to deal with all of the sore throats and stomach aches. The other thing is it allows the nurses to do their part, and if the item is beyond their scope, they're able to send it to the school-based health center. So the school-based health center, the provider is a licensed clinician. So it's either a licensed nurse practitioner or a physician assistant or a physician. So it's folks who have additional medical training and are able to write prescriptions and do diagnoses. So it allows for the nurse to do what they do best and then to have a partner to work with. And I will tell you that in all the school-based health centers we've ever been in and operated, even when we think we might want to leave to go to another school, it's the nurse who says, no, you can't leave. So we've never had any type of a difficult relationship. It's always extremely, we rely on each other, and that's why we even like to be close in terms of physical proximity.
I'll let some others take field questions if you have any.
I have a couple. Oh,
Please,
sorry.
no.
Okay. I was just wondering, how will student privacy and confidentiality be protected, especially for sensitive issues maintaining like with their mental health or even like their sexual health?
Fantastic question. Thank you, Davis. So the medical record for the student is a medical record. It has nothing to do with the school record. So school records are governed by one law called FERPA, and medical records are governed by an entirely different law called HIPAA. Never the two shall meet. So the medical clinician at the school-based health center has no access to the school record, and the school has no access to the medical record. So it's actually, it is a cloud-based medical record that you need several levels of security to get into. So unless it is an authorized person, they would have no access. We also monitor access. We know every single person who touches a medical record, and no one who has no access will ever touch it. But even those who have access, we know exactly when and how long and what records they've been in. And we regularly audit to make sure that no one is actually looking at records that they shouldn't. So it is really no different from a record perspective and a privacy perspective than your pediatrician's office. It is very much the same process. It's just the health center is at the school.
Thank you. Yes. Will the mental health services that you talked about include both short-term counseling and then referrals to like longer-term care?
Absolutely. So we really specialize in that short-term counseling. So that identification of what the issue is, and if it is something that can be addressed in, let's say, 3 to 5 sessions, that's the best place for us. If it is a long-term mental health issue, we would absolutely work with a community partner to say, this is really a long-term therapeutic process and we're not the best folks to do it. Where we really excel is once let's say a condition has been identified already. I'm going to use an example of anxiety. Okay, so the individual has been diagnosed with anxiety and they've changed their medications, and they're having a reaction to the new medication. Maybe they're a little sleepy in class, or they're having trouble falling asleep. We really do well when it comes to working closely with students with young people who are addressing their mental health issues, to try a different medication, let's say, and to see how it goes, and to check in several times. So it really helps with that close follow-up. So we are a partner with your pediatrician or whoever your primary care provider is. We don't replace them in any way, but just that ability to see the young person on a regular basis helps with some of those long-term issues so that they don't go too long without being addressed.
Okay. And then my last question was, how would communications with parents and or guardians be handled, especially for like older students who may want to keep things private or to themselves?
Yes. So we have to follow Pennsylvania law, and and we're no different than your pediatrician's office, for example. Pennsylvania law says that there are only a handful of things that are protected for young people under the age of 18. And those include reproductive health and, to a small degree, some behavioral health. Everything else, if you're under 18, your parents have access to that information. And that's Pennsylvania law. But for reproductive health, Pennsylvania law says that if you're over the age of 13, you're able to get those services without parental consent. So we don't do anything different than parental law. We don't do anything different than a regular pediatrician. So for those things that the law allows parents to see, parents would have access to. For those that the law does not allow parents to see, parents would not be able to see.
Thank you.
Thanks, Davis.
I have a question for you, Ms. Jones. Thank you so much for bringing this presentation to us. This idea of school-based health makes my social work heart very happy. I just wanted to ask a question. As I was going through the info packet that was delivered to us, I noticed that one of the flyers is in English and in Spanish, which we appreciate for our community because we have such a diverse community like that. Do you have staff on hand who are going to be bilingual in case those scenarios come up where parents come to school and English is not their first language? Do you have staff to accommodate them?
We do, primarily in Spanish, but we use a service called Propio, which is able to translate into over 200 languages. So if they speak any other language, we would provide that translation for them via a tablet.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a question, and you touched on it when you were answering Davis's question, but I'd just love to dig a little deeper. You mentioned before that before you would treat any child, you would get parental consent, but then you highlighted when you were answering Davis's question about privacy that there are certain ages, 13 for reproductive health, and I think it's 14 for mental health. Is that right? I think 14 for mental health, where that's actually the age of consent. So do you still require parental consent to treat a child for reproductive care or mental health?
If Pennsylvania law allows the child to receive services without parental consent, then we would not get parental consent for that service.
Okay.
As much as possible, we always try to get parental consent at the beginning of the year because that allows us to provide comprehensive care.
Okay.
So we're not a reproductive health clinic alone.
Right.
And those services really fit really well within the context of total care. But we do abide by the law, no different than any other medical practice would do.
Great, thank you. And I may have missed this when I was out of the room, but would the intention be for the facility to be available to employees as well as students?
So we are available to employees at all of our other sites. So of course, we would be available to employees if that is the choice of the school leadership.
Okay, great. And then it sounds like you are doing that in some other districts. Do you know if any of those districts are self-insured like Coatesville is? And if so, do you have any insights on how the costs of your clinic, compare to what those districts might be paying for their employees to get services wherever else they might go?
That's an excellent question. We don't. We've never asked that.
Okay.
But I can tell you that in one of our school districts, we were told that it has helped with teachers being out because instead of taking a day off and needing to go and wait for an urgent care visit, they can just come downstairs to the health center. We also had a very remarkable experience in the last few months of a teacher who was having a heart attack and came to the health center, was identified and treated right away. And, they really felt that having a clinician right there on site was something that really helped in that situation of really a life or death situation. So it's a great question. I think we'd have to do some deep diving. I don't know exactly that there's good data yet on whether the health center contributes to lower costs, but it absolutely, anecdotally, we've been told it contributes to folks being able to come to work if they know it's just a minor health issue.
Great, thank you. I noticed, I don't necessarily know every school on this list on the flyer that you gave us, but, for instance, it looks like you're in an urban-based school in Lancaster.
We're in 6.
Wonderful. Are you providing community care in those schools?
We provide community care in most of the schools. There's one school that doesn't, simply because the way where it's positioned, it doesn't allow for security in its entrance. But at the rest of them, we do, yes, because the community feels as though the school is a resource to the community and they want it to be open. In most cases, we really try to be very sensitive to when community members are coming, and it's usually those appointments after the school day and during the summer.
And how important is being able to access a broader range of clients, in terms of the community coming in? How is that important to your own financial metrics of making this facility work from a business perspective? Because I know that we all have kind of a intrinsic desire to be present and help the communities, but we also need to make sure that we can cover costs.
Correct. And it is really important to know that the school district does not cover any costs for the health center. So those are all borne by us. But yes, if the decision was to go with the location at the high school, this district is large enough to sustain a school-based health center without opening up to community. Now, there has been talk with school leadership about how to get students from other schools to be able to come to the school-based health center. So even though it's at the high school, we'd want to make sure that students from the other schools could come. And that would be very important as well. But so how important is it? It depends on the population at the school. And Coatesville area has a large enough population to sustain one.
And is your financial structure there one where you actually pay to rent that space in the facility, or after you renovate that space, is it considered like a open access to your organization?
So we do not pay rent.
Okay.
And it's because there is no money exchange between the school and Union Community Care. So we exist at your request and at the pleasure of the school. And we cover our costs through the billings that we provide, and no one is ever denied care. So do we have, I mean, I think maybe your question is, do we expect like exclusive access to the health center?
Yeah, I mean, it's both, right? Like, I want to understand the financial and business terms of that agreement. What does that look like?
So the solicitor has the agreement in hand. I don't know, so if he wants to go into the details of it, but essentially, because it's open to everyone regardless of ability to pay, we in most cases, it's a very, very slim margin. And we continue in conversation with the school as we go along. So if we're seeing, hey, we're just really not seeing the volume of students that would allow us to sustain this health center, it's a conversation that we have moving forward. Now, we don't ask for exclusive rights to that space, but the space is a medical exam room and laboratory space. So we will have equipment there that is expensive. So we would not want there to be, folks going in and out, messing with the microscope, because those are, that's clinical equipment. So we don't expect exclusive use, but in most cases, the school understands what that space is used for, and it's really not open for other activities.
Okay. And your organization pays to create the space to be appropriate for a clinical setting?
Yes. So any minor alterations, renovations, our organization will cover that. But in this case, we will usually look for community support. And here in Coatesville, there's several entities that have already expressed the desire to support any renovations needed for this because they think it would be just such a wonderful asset to the community. So we would go for those grants. We would use those funds for that purpose. And then if the situation were to ever happen, and it's in the agreement that your solicitor has, that the school says we no longer want you here, then we take our items that belong to us, which is our equipment, our supplies, and we leave. We have never been asked to do that, but there's always the situation where that can, and any renovations that have been made, of course, now are assets of the school district. Yes, we only take our equipment and our supplies. We only take the things that we can physically pick up and take with us.
Ms. Muirhead, as part of that discussion, we were introduced to Union Community Healthcare. It was through Carolyn Committa's office.
Yes.
And through that discussion, and with Michael Hartman, as you know, part of that discussion was that they may have funds available in addition to helping with some of those renovations if necessary, or construction cost. So one of the other things that we are doing we are going to look at, if this goes through, and put it at the high school, the success of it, that it would be considered to be part of the new North Brandywine building as well. And we've kind of built in a model of that into the design plan already, that if it didn't, it would still utilize the space that we needed it as to be as well.
That's great. I mean, one thing to keep in mind with that, and it would be easier to incorporate in the new North Brandywine building than kind of retrofitting in cash, but if we were to make it available to the broader community, which after school hours, which personally, I think that would be a wonderful thing to do for this community, especially with the loss of the hospital. There's a real need. This is a bit of a healthcare desert, not as much now that you guys are here, but we could always use more access. A way for people to access the healthcare center without having to enter
That's in the
school
design
building.
North Brandywine, right? That's what we
Right.
did.
So I know that's in the design for North Brandywine. If there are funds to do that at the high school as
Yeah.
well, that would be
Yep.
great.
And it has its own access there.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Great. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? No? I have one more question. Yes, ma'am. Is there been any, this was something posed to me via an email. Is there any concern that sometimes parents will be like, oh, there's the doctor at school. I know you're sick, but go ahead to school and go see the doctor?
Yes.
sending
Yes.
kids that maybe shouldn't be at school to school?
That is a very valid question. And that is actually what we have heard from parents before is, oh, I have a stomach ache. Well, I don't know if you really have a stomach ache or if you just don't want to go to school. So go to school and then go see the doctor at the school-based health center. So that does happen. And I think what we definitely try to be aware of is the importance of a communicable disease. So we were active during COVID. We understand the spread of disease. So there is, without a doubt, I think is a sense of wanting to keep kids that should be at home, but also knowing that not every parent can stay home and miss out on that paycheck. And sometimes it is, for the family's well-being, better to send the child to school and let a medical professional make that decision versus mom or dad or guardian having to stay home and say, hey, now we're gonna have trouble making ends meet at the end of the month. And that's what we have heard the most from parents is that when kiddo is sick, it means the bottom line financial security of the family is at risk. So we understand both sides of it, but we understand both sides of it, yeah.
Thank you for your honesty. I mean, I don't want to end on a negative note at all. I think this is a wonderful proposal. We're really excited that you're here. Thank you very much for coming. And does anyone else have any questions?
Actually, I did think of another question, I'm sorry. Mental health services, is that only available on-site, or is that also something that is provided by your organization through telehealth? So like if there were a student at home, would they be able to get access to that mental health care through telehealth?
So without a doubt, we use telehealth, and we use it exclusively for psychiatry.
Okay.
So psychiatry will always be telehealth. In terms of a student at home, I think that would be on a case-by-case basis. We ideally would want to provide all of the services at the school. So if it was at home, I think that would be a different conversation with the family, and it might actually be through our health center, which is on Lincoln Highway. But the school services we would want to provide at school, and we would absolutely use telehealth for a portion of those.
And telehealth is used for psychiatry because you don't typically have the psychiatrist on site.
Yes, ma'am. No school would be large enough to be able to have a psychiatrist on site. So we
Totally agree.
Yep, we use telehealth, and that allows really for easier access. So on any given day, we can get a child in within just a couple of days. Versus if you tried to see a psychiatrist in the private market, you are waiting weeks and weeks, if not longer.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Oh, I have a whole meeting to do, don't I now? Lyren's dying. Okay. So I can actually start with letter A, and I will bundle a few things here and there just to excite you all because there's nobody left anyway. Letter A is that the Board of School Directors approved the contract agreement with the CCIU for coaching and consultative services for CASD for a total of 90 days for $104,050 to be billed quarterly as presented. And these are the services that support the elementary, middle, and high school educators, administrators through the CSI funding. And this is basically like instructional teaching, if I recall correctly in our prep. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just want to
Instructional support. Yeah.
clarify something real quick here.
Uh-oh.
It is not for 90 days. I don't know why. It says this is actually through the end of the year.
End of the school year.
It does say the end of the school year.
End of the school year on the agreement. Yeah,
It
so
does.
that's an error. I apologize.
That's just right, in the public content, it's the paragraph says the thing, but
So-
the contract is correct.
This is instructional coaching and consultative services for our comprehensive school improvement. We have 5 schools that are identified as school improvement between the elementary, middle, and high schools. And so that cost will be split among the 5 schools. And this is for instructional coaching for coaches to go in and support teachers with best practices and classroom management.
It does actually say 90 days. I guess
Does
it's a
it?
total of
Okay.
90 days.
I'll get that corrected.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be.
I mean, it has the date, but then it does
Right.
say, yeah, so.
Maybe it means 90 school days? I don't know.
Probably between across the board. It's just not 90 days straight. I just want to make that clear.
Okay.
Yep.
And they physically come and they spend the time in the room and do the teaching in the room?
Yes, and they do consultative services with building administration as well as our comprehensive school improvement team as a whole district.
Okay. All right. Does anyone on the committee have any questions? Anyone on the full board? Seeing none, if you agree to move that forward, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and then B, we have the ratification, and it's due to departmentalization. They purchased fewer grade 5 twig kits, and they have sufficient teaching materials, but we need more kits to support all the students. And I had to ask what the departmentalization was, and this was the first I learned. I thought it was a neat thing to hear about. If you could clarify how they're departmentalizing.
Sure. At the 5th grade level, we moved to a I can't even get my word out. Into the content areas, teaching of the content areas in ELA, math, science, and social studies. So each teacher has a designated content area that they focus on throughout the day that the kids rotate through from different classes instead of them being in the same classroom all day long.
Which is how it was done when my kids were in elementary school. So I didn't even realize it had changed to something else. So I like that. And I understand that most of the teachers are pleased with their assignments. Okay. Does anyone have any comments on that on the board? Or on the committee? Sorry. Okay. Seeing none, if you agree to move this forward, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And we have letter C, and that the Board of School Directors approve the purchase of additional Envision Spanish version math materials for elementary and 6th to 8th grade as presented. And this will be a cost of $7,274.94, and that's from the curriculum budget. And these are just the materials we need that give our language learners the opportunity to have resources in their primary language, correct? Okay. Does anyone on the committee have questions? Anyone on the full board? Seeing none, if you agree to move this forward, please say yes.
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 Yes. Now, I thought we could have like a big conversation about all the course guide selections and bundle these if that's okay. So one is the course selection guide itself from grades 9 to 12 as presented. And in the attachments, it has the guide, and then there's a what's new section I was grateful for. So thank you, Michelle, for outlining those for me. And then the actual course selection approval for consumer math, which was formerly known as Math for Life, so that's just a name change, really. And then the new course that's being presented is a 0.5 credit course under the Wellness and Fitness Department, which is fishing and aquatic stewardship. And then G, which is the athletic leadership course, which is also a 0.5 credit for athletic leadership for cash, grades 11 to 12 as presented. And then H, which is the Intro to Personal Finance course that's required by PDE for the upcoming school year as presented. So is there anyone that has any comments on the committee regarding any of these items?
Regarding the new fishing and aquatic stewardship class, one of the questions that we had about it was, would students be required to bring their own fishing supplies, or would there be something provided for students from all backgrounds who may not even have experience with fishing?
I'm pretty sure I read that all equipment was provided.
All equipment is provided for this course.
Yes. Any other questions?
Another question I had was, would it be possible for the class to connect with local science or environmental clubs, or include field trips to local waterways as well?
That I don't know the answer to. I'm going to pass it along.
I'm going to find that out for you, Davis, for sure. That's a good question. I think there actually was discussions about the different environmental science areas in the surrounding area to connect with them for this class.
Does anyone else have questions on the committee? I think one of the questions I had asked in prep, and I always try to ask the same questions for the public, because if I had it, somebody else may. And that was, will it require any specific certifications for the new courses, the fishing and the athletic leadership?
No different certifications than what already the individual we have hired.
Okay. And then would it require additional staff to teach these courses?
This would not, no.
Okay. And then I think that is all the questions I had. Does anyone on the full board have questions? Liz?
I just had a comment. I think one of the things that we hear a lot from the community, and particularly from adults, is they wish that there were some basic life skills that they had been taught in high school. And I noticed that one of the planned new courses is Intro to Personal Finance. So considering that this is my professional area of expertise, I'm very excited to see this on the agenda, especially in a community like ours, giving people the opportunity to improve their financial literacy early in life may set them up for more success long-term. And so this is something that I am hugely excited to see. I hope that we can, get the right curriculum together and get the right staff to teach this, because I think for our community, this is something that can really impact the longer-term success of our students.
Does anyone else have any questions? And I did think of one more, I apologize. For these newer ones, obviously the one with PDE probably has a curriculum already that we would adopt, I'm assuming, or no? The personal finance that Liz is discussing.
So they have standards.
Okay.
That we have to follow.
So we create the curriculum.
Not been finalized in very PDE fashion. Okay. But we must implement the course starting next year as well. So I would say that our curriculum supervisors have done an outstanding job, though, of identifying materials and curriculum to deliver this course.
Okay. And then for the athletic leadership and the new fishing, is that something we create ourselves?
Yes.
Okay. And we have someone ready to do
But
that?
again, they follow the standards.
Okay.
And we're establishing, with these new courses, we're establishing pathways now for students that this may be a direction they want to go into different various, post-high school careers.
Like coaching or, yep.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so if no one else has any comments, Liren?
No,
Oh, no, you're ready to say yes. If you would like to move these all forward to the full board, please say yes.
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 And while we're at it, I just want to, if it's okay with you, I want to dismiss Davis so he
Absolutely.
can get home. It's been a long one, so.
Thank you, Davis.
Thank you, Davis.
Have a good night, guys.
Excellent questions this evening. Okay, so then we move to letter I believe. Yes. And this is that the Board of School Directors approved the EFS quote for office and conference room furniture at the cost of $29,770.30, and the graphics on the move quote for a wall mural install at a cost of $11,365 as presented. And these are funded through Title IV, and this will complete our Career Center update. And we do have some additional details on the quotes and everything that were received. Does anyone have any comments or questions on the committee? Seeing none, anyone on the full board? What's left of us?
I have a question.
Yes.
When's the date? I forgot when the date, expected date that the Career Center will open, or is it open?
It's our, yeah, go
The
ahead.
date for what was it?
For the Career Center to open, is it already open?
It's not. I
No.
mean, we're getting there. The furniture's delivered. There's a second set of furniture. This was a 2-year goal through our Title IV funding of enhancing instruction in the classroom And so with these funds, this will finish it off, and we'll have an open house soon, once everything's delivered and the wall wraps are up and everything.
Any other comments? Seeing none, if you agree to move this forward, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Then I will, let's see, we have, yes, field trips. So J and K, we can bundle. And that is a field trip for the Spanish, science, and STEM departments, and then a field trip with the AFJROTC. Does anyone have comments or concerns or questions? I'll open that to the whole board. Seeing none, if you agree to move this forward, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, then we have a dine and donate, and I kept this separate so because the last time we looked at one, it was already gone. This one we still have an opportunity to participate in and help our AFJRO, I can't do this, the AFJROTC, to help them raise a little bit of money, and that is November 20th at McGurk's in Lineville to help them offset costs of the military ball as presented. Does anyone have comments? Seeing none, does anyone else on the board have comments? No? If you agree to move this forward, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Donna, you good?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
How much was, I was just looking to see how much was it?
They get 15% back. That's the dine and donate.
Okay.
And then we have two M&N that I can bundle. Book disposition donations for Reeseville and East Fallowfield. And that we approve the donation of 65 library books to the Mennonite Central Committee as presented under the first, and then 463 books from East Fallowfield to the Mennonite Central Committee as presented. Any comments, concerns, questions? Seeing none, full board?
Yep.
If you'd like to move it to the full board, then please say yes.
Yes.
Oh, I thought I just did.
Yes, you said yes. I could see it in your face. No. Okay, then we have, this is executive content for approval for early graduation request. So we can't discuss the personal issues regarding the student. So if you agree to move this forward, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. And good for the student. Looks like a well thought out plan. Next, whoops, we have a rider under P, that the school directors approved the rider agreement between Royer Grieve School for the Blind and the Coatesville Area School District as presented. Does anyone have any comments? Anyone on the full board? Seeing none, if you'd like to move this forward, please say yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And I'm sorry, I should have bundled that with the next one, Lear, and I know you're yelling at me. P, the School Board of School Directors approved 25-26 school year enrollment agreement, the 60-day trial with the Vanguard School for student ID 10024760 as presented. Does anyone have comments, questions? Seeing none, if you agree to move this forward, please say yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Then we have the Navigate 360, which is R, that the Board of School Directors approved the quotes for Navigate 360 Behavioral Threat Assessment Team Training as presented. And there are two quotes here. Number one, the quote to add L1 training at no cost to take place as soon as possible. This quote provides free training for our current teams this year through March at no cost to the district. And this one's beneficial because we have new guidance counselors and administrators who serve on these threat assessment teams who need additional training. Number two, the renewal quote for threat assessment with the addition of the CSTAG training bundle, Train the Trainer and L2 training. The CSTAG bundle includes unlimited seat of L1 and L2 training, CSTAG for staff training, CSTAG for law enforcement, as well as the suicide prevention training. The quote also includes seats for CSTAG Train the Trainer and the required L2 training for those to be trained as local trainers. I said the word train like 55 times in that sentence. The program is district-wide, which is 5,300 students at a total cost of $28,675. And anyone have comments on this one or questions? No. Does anyone on the full board have comments? Seeing none, if you agree to move this forward, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. My girl's good over there, right?
Donna?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. We're all tired. We're at S, that the Board of School Directors approve the addendum to the On-Track Plus Curriculum User Agreement as presented. Anyone's comments? Anyone else on the board? Seeing none, if you agree to move this forward, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Look, we're getting there. T, and this is the Board of School Directors approved 2026-2027 CASD school calendar as presented. Does anyone have comments here?
No, I just want to note that next year, the academic calendar for students will start on August 31st. And then the last day, graduation will be on June 10th, and the last day for students on June 11th.
Is that a little later than normal?
It is so because of construction of Doe Run. We weren't promised any earlier than August 12th, so that gives us 2.5 weeks to clean, get the furniture all set in place, and get all teachers moved in.
Perfect, thank you for explaining. Does anyone else have any comments? Anyone on the full board? Seeing none, if you agree to move this forward, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, then we have our informational item is the enrollment report as of October 31st of 2025. Does anyone have any old or new business? No? Then we will move to public comment. And we have Lori Shannon Bailey.
Thank you. Good evening. Regarding the CCIU agreement, Tony, thank you for your prompt response to my questions. I guess the other thing that came to my mind was, is this contract related to PSSA scores? Is it something that's directly, I know you said.
I'll talk to you more about it. I can give you a call.
Okay, because you mentioned something tonight that wasn't in the email. So I think generally speaking, I want to know more about the comprehensive school improvement plans. So thank you for that. The fly fishing, the fishing and aquatic stewardship training or course, was that something that students recommended actually, or was that a recommendation from the curriculum staff? Just curious.
I'll make sure I respond to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so in terms of the community health-based, school-based health program, that sounds like another no-brainer. I appreciate the support that I heard from those of you who did speak positively about it, especially for parents who would need the service because of transportation problems. As an advocate, I've taken my parents to the doctors, to their kids' doctors' appointments, and I'm sure other people have too. But what a great opportunity for us to really show care and compassion for families that are struggling with transportation and getting to medical appointments, and even the part of the mental health services that would be provided is really would be a great asset. So hoping to see a positive outcome for that. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that concludes the Education Committee, and I will adjourn this. The next meeting is January 13th, 2026 for the committee. I will adjourn at 8:48 p.m.
I'm going to call the Finance Committee meeting to order at 8:48 p.m. We'll begin with, I recognize the Vice Chairman Shauna Maxwell. Board Member Elgin Bailey is excused. I recognize Committee Member Robin Seagreaves. We do have a quorum. We will move forward. First item is the approval of the minutes for the October 14th, 2025 Finance Committee. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions for the minutes? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. They are approved and will be placed on file. Moving to the agenda items, letter A, financial statements, that the Board of School Directors approve the financial statements and bills payables list as presented. Any questions from the committee on these items? Any questions from the full board? All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, it is so moved. Letter B, Dindus Inc., graduation 2026. That the Board of School Directors approve the contract and price quote from Dindus for the sound system services for 2026 graduation ceremony in the amount of $6,189 as presented. This represents no increase in price over the last 2 years. Dindus Inc. has successfully provided sound service for the district's last 5 graduation ceremonies. So thank you for securing that at a great price and a great provider. Any questions from the committee on this item? Any questions from the full board? All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
It is so moved. Okay, letter C, Junior Achievement of Southeastern Pennsylvania. That the Board of School Directors approve the district-wide partnership with Junior Achievement to provide end-to-end solutions that accelerate academic opportunity and mobility. These partnerships equip students with the knowledge, skills, behaviors, and mindsets to expand opportunity-filled futures in the amount of $42,000 as presented. Just as a side note, and I have volunteered with them before, Junior Achievement is a nationally recognized nonprofit that helps students build financial literacy, career awareness, and entrepreneurship skills through hands-on engaging activities. They would like to provide materials and resources to benefit all students in grades kindergarten through 8th grade. I also noticed that there's the potential for them to partner with us on the personal finance course at the high school. Any questions or comments from the committee on this item? From the full board? Anything else, Dr. Barczyk, that you wanted to add on this?
No, we're just appreciative of Donors Choice, or I'm sorry, the Junior Achievements of Southeastern Pennsylvania Donations Partnership. They've been wonderful in all aspects. They do a lot for our summer program and continue to provide throughout the year now. So it's been a great partnership, and kudos to Dr. Becky Doherty for all she's done to help, just fuel that partnership and grow it to what it is.
Yes, I'm thrilled about it because years ago, we did not have any partnership with Junior Achievement. So it's really great to see this happening. Okay, all in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Letter D, Donor's Choice for CAIHS FCS classroom, that the Board of School Directors approve this donation. It's essentially updated cooking supplies, mixing bowls, aprons, measuring cups, and knives for the 910 building in the amount of $840.21. This is another Donor's Choose. We're going to develop a policy around this. But any questions from the committee on this? Full board? Okay. All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, it is so moved. Letter E, Shutterfly Life Touch Service Agreement, Reesville Elementary School. The Board of School Directors approved the service agreement between Life Touch and Reesville for the 2026-2027 school year. Programs to be provided include fall and spring individuals as presented. This goes through all of the other elementary schools, so this is the first one we're getting. We should expect to see more of these in the coming months. But Reesville is the first one to get their stuff done, so good job, Reesville. Any questions from the committee? Any questions from the full board? Okay. All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, it is so moved. Letter F, flag football coaches. This is a little bit of a technical one, but it's realigning the 2 flag football coaches that we already approved for the campus from being 2 equal positions at 379 units per coach to realign them as a head coach position at 512 units and one assistant coach position at 312 units. This is going to align the program with other PIAA sports currently in place, and this is a PIAA approved sports program. That is a modest increase in units. It's 66 additional units, but Lori and I ran the numbers on what is the additional cost over what we approved previously, and we're talking about somewhere between $500 and $750 additional cost for realigning it to be better aligned with how other PIAA programs are run. So very modest cost. Any questions from the committee on this item? Okay, any questions from the full board? All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is so moved. Okay, and finally, letter G, Act 93 non-certified employee agreement, that the Board of Directors approve the Act 93 non-certified employee agreement as presented. I do want to make a couple of comments on this, and Dr. Urbarczyk, I don't know if there's anything you want to highlight. I will note this is a 5-year agreement. This covers the administrative and non-certified employees. A couple of things that we did here, we created some better alignment for retiring administrators so that we were more in line with other districts. We also did a comprehensive review of some things like the payout of accrued vacation, the amount of vacation, and the payout of sick days, compared that to other districts, and made sure that we were more competitive and more aligned. We also made sure that there was some provision for inflation-adjusted pay changes for administrators who are receiving satisfactory ratings. And those are the highlights that I wanted to share. I don't know, Dr. Urbarczyk, if there's anything else you wanted to share.
No, I think you hit them all. Just to clarify, it will be a 4.5 because it'll start January 1st through June of 2030. Sounds strange to say, but which will be nice because this is one of the first of 3 different contracts, agreements we're working on to kind of divide up instead of putting them all at one ending spot. So this was one of the first ones that we now have a 4.5-year agreement with our Act 93 group, and we are going to continue working on the other ones to get them so they're not lining up with this one.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the committee members? Any questions or comments from the full board? Okay. All in favor of moving this to the full board agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is so moved. We have our normal informational items, the account codes, legal fees, and the medical claims through September 2025. Old business, there's no old business listed, but I do want to mention, because a question had come up previously about whether we could start adding the HR report to the committee meetings. I did look into that, and one of the reasons that we have not been adding the HR report to the committee meetings is because that would put new employees in a very awkward position where the fact that we're planning to hire them would be public to their current employer before we actually were prepared to hold a vote approving their hiring, and that wouldn't happen for 2 weeks. So it would put people in a very awkward position for that 2-week period, which is why we will not be adding the HR report to the committee agenda, but we will continue to publish the agenda on the Friday before the meeting, before the full board meeting, and the HR report will be there. And if there are any hirings that happen between that publication time and Monday, we will publish an HR addendum 24 hours in advance of the meeting. So just to clarify how we're handling that. Is there any new business? Okay, public comment. We have Ms. Lori Shannon Bailey talking about bills to be approved and legal fees.
Good evening. So I had asked this question before, and I never got an answer. I could send an email, but I probably still won't get an answer, but that's okay. So there's a lot of things that show up on the bills to be paid that are also on legal fees. Like, for example, on page 8, there's a right to know for charter schools. I'm not going to say the amount because you all know what the amount is, but it's a large amount. So I just don't understand why there's just so much repetitiveness with the legal fees. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me. And there's other categories that, to me, causes a lot of confusion, and it speaks to a lack of transparency. That may not be your intent, but I'm just not understanding why it's also included in the legal fees. Are we still, is the Levin Legal Group still employed by the district? I thought maybe he was not, but doesn't seem like he's ever going to go away. But that would be one other question that I would have. In terms of the legal fees, it still is a very, very complicated document. There's parentheses. Don't quite know what that means. This document is not like it was under previous superintendents. I think, again, this may not be the case, but if you're trying to confuse me, you're doing a very good job at it. I just don't understand why. Like, for example, on page 1, we have parentheses in 3,237, 117, 2,550. What do the parentheses mean? And then they continue on page 5. It's just really a lot of words. There's a code on here. I think, again, please make it simple. Please make it where we can understand more about how you're spending taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon Bailey. Ms. Diefendorfer, did you want to provide any immediate response to any of that?
I can if you want me to.
I would love for you to.
Okay. So they appear on the bills payable list because that's where we cut the checks, and we're being transparent as to what we cut through every week to all of our vendors. And then we were asked previously to include a detail of just the legal fees. So that grouping that you see at the bottom is just all the legal fees that we have cut throughout the course of the school year. And when you see a number in parentheses, that's a negative, which means it went back to the prior school year. So we can, through June 30th, we will receive their bills in July, pay it in July, but it goes back to the previous school year. So that's what the negative amounts are on the legal fees. I don't know if there's anything else you want me to add to any of that, but.
Levin isn't doing any new work for.
Levin has one open project, and that is the only project that they have currently.
That has not gotten any new work from us since last year?
Not at all, no.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you for that quick response to those questions. That concludes public comment. Our next meeting is January 13th, 2026. And with that, I adjourn the Finance Committee at 9:01 p.m. and hand it off to the Policy Committee.
All right, I'm calling to order the Policy Committee. I am Chairperson Holly Charest. I note the presence of Vice Chairperson Donna Rowland, as well as Board Member Liren Yacco. Beth Brindle has been excused. Seeing that we have a quorum, we are moving on to the next item, approval of the minutes. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes from our October 14th meeting? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the minutes staying as they are, please say yes.
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 Okay, the minutes will be moved to record. There are no presentations this evening. We're going to move on to our agenda items. First up is letter A, Board Policy 206, assignment within the district for first reading. So the recommended action is to review policy 206 assignment with the district for a first reading. This policy has been reviewed, and we have removed the guidelines section, and we have created, or we have put it into the AR that's associated with this policy. That would be AR 206 AR 0. And then there were general formatting fixes, and then under the delegation of responsibility, the following item was removed. Superintendent or designee shall assign incoming transfer students to school grades and classes that afford each student the greatest likelihood of realizing his/her educational and academic goals. To my colleagues on the committee, any questions or comments?
I just want to make sure, we've talked about this a few times through the years. I just want to make sure that in an elementary school, I'm kind of trying to read through this real quick, that if they've been in the elementary school since kindergarten and it's like their last year, they're going to be able to stay.
In 5th grade.
Right, 5th grade.
Correct, that's
So
what
it's
we're
their
working
last
towards. That
year.
would be their last year.
Right,
They would
okay. I
grandfather
just
them
wanted
in
to make
just
sure that that's where we're.
But unless they have a sibling in a younger grade,
Right.
and the parent chooses to move both of them, that's the parent's
Okay,
choice.
just, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. To the full board, any questions or comments? Okay, please say yes if you would like to move this forward for a second reading.
Yes.
Okay, and yes. Letter B, Board Policy 211, student accident insurance, first reading. The action is the Board of School Directors review Policy 211 for first reading. This policy has been reviewed. There has been no changes recommended. As far as I know, this is still accurate practice this is still accurate district practice. To my colleagues on the committee, any questions or comments?
No.
Okay, questions or comments from the board? Okay, seeing none, please say yes if you would like to move this policy forward for a second reading.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. Letter C, that would be Board Policy 216. Board Directors review Policy 216, student records, for a first reading. On this policy, we have removed the definition section from the policy because there's a more detailed definition section that's already present in the AR for this particular policy. And we moved the student recruitment and missing child registration sections to the AR. And for those interested, that would be under informational items. It is 216-AR-0. Yeah, that's it. Okay. To my colleagues on the committee, any questions or comments about this policy? Okay, any questions or comments from the full board? Okay, seeing none, please say yes if you'd like to move this policy forward for a second reading.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. Okay. Letter D, Policy 216.1. We will review. This is policy for supplemental discipline records. The items for this section, the definition section has been moved to the AR associated with this. And then we've moved all the sections under the guidelines to the AR section in the policy. It was already in the AR, so having it in both places was redundant. To my colleagues on the committee, any questions or comments about this policy? Anybody from the full board, questions or comments? Seeing none, please say yes if you would like to move this forward for a second reading.
Yes.
Oh, I did, I thought I said yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
And yes. Letter E, Board Policy 137.1, extracurricular participation by home education students, repeal. This policy is on the agenda to repeal because it has been combined into Policy 137, along with the AR that's included. So that is all now located under Policy 137. To my colleagues on the committee, any questions or comments about this policy? Okay, questions, comments from the full board?
Mr. S., just for clarification purposes, because this is going, because this was combined in the policy as you just described, this would, for a repeal purpose, this would just go onto the agenda for the business meeting at the end of the month as a
Okay.
repeal. And then we would make that deletion from the existing policy manual.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify, because this says that we incorporated this into Policy 137, but then Policy 137 isn't on this agenda. So I just want to clarify that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Policy 137 allows students enrolled in a home education program to participate in extracurricular activities. Is that correct?
Yes. And we discussed that last month, I think, when
Yeah.
it was approved at a second read.
Right. I just want to make sure, looking at this in isolation, somebody might think that because this policy is being repealed, that we are removing the ability of home education students to participate in extracurricular activities, and that's not what's happening. Policy 137, which is approved and on the books, allows for home education students to participate in extracurricular activities.
No, and when we did that, that was part of the discussion
Yeah.
a couple months ago, was that
Right.
we would have to come back and repeal this after the fact.
Yeah, I'm just clarifying because people who look at this meeting in isolation might misinterpret what we're doing. That's all.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, seeing none, please say yes if you would like to move this to the business meeting at the end of the month.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. Okay, I am going to bundle item F, Policy 003, Functions. Policy G, Policy 200, Enrollment of Students. H, Policy 201, Admission of Students. I, Policy 215, Retention, Promotion, Acceleration. And Policy, J, Policy 815, Acceptable Use of Internet Computers and Network Resources, all for a second reading. To my committee members, any questions or comments regarding any of these policies?
I, retention, is that the one we were talking about where parents or they could?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, interesting.
Anybody from the full board, questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, please say yes if you'd like to move these forward for approval.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. Under informational items, you'll see all the ARs listed for the policies mentioned. Is there any old business? Okay, so under new business, I just want to bring to it, okay. I just want to bring to attention that in January, with all the information that was being shared regarding public comment, we are going to revisit and look over the board policy for public comment, which is Policy 903. That will be put on the committee meeting for January.
And Mr. Rest, we just, as in addition to new business, we just want to take a moment to thank our vets, our veterans who served our country on being on the holiday today at our public meeting.
Thank you. Okay, any other new business? All right, is there any public comment? No, okay. Our next meeting will be January 13th, 2026. Wow. And I adjourn the policy committee meeting at 9:13.